Chapter 1168. Huamin nodded honestly. She really did want to ask. As the president of the Huo Corporation, he didn't appear at a seafood restaurant or a high-end Western restaurant at noon. Yet, he actually appeared at Southside's noisy cafeteria. It was indeed a bit out of place. I want to eat Southside's food. Huo actually subconsciously wanted to say, I miss you, but Huamin probably wasn't mentally prepared yet, so she changed her lines to be more meaningful. You're crazy. Huamin lowered her head and cursed as she ate. Although Southside's food had improved a lot, it still wasn't to the point where it was delicious. This Huo was purely crazy. You've been looking good lately. Huo smiled and looked at Huamin seriously. Huamin subconsciously touched her face. Yeah, I'm preparing for pregnancy, so ginseng, deer antler, chicken soup, Chinese medicine, etc. I don't reject anything. It's so nutritious, how can I not look good? Actually, you don't have to be so hard on yourself. Why are you in such a hurry to have a child? You're still so young. Huo smiled. I like children, and so does Qin Chu. It has nothing to do with age. Huamin calmly explained her point of view. Huo picked up the meat on his plate that he hadn't touched and placed it on Huamin's plate. Because he saw that she seemed to have a good appetite and kept eating meat. Huamin was just about to refuse when Huo said, my blood pressure has been high recently, and the doctor said that I can't always eat meat. Seriously? Do I really have to live like a monk from now on? Huamin burst out laughing. What are you laughing at? It's not that serious. High blood pressure is not a big deal. You should pay attention to your diet. Don't be too oily and spicy. Eat less things with high protein and exercise more. If it's too high, you can take some medicine to lower your blood pressure. But I don't recommend taking medicine. I think diet therapy is the best treatment. Well, you're becoming more and more like a doctor. Tycoon, I heard that since you became the chief physician of the neurology department, your annual salary has soared to 2 million yuan. You know quite a lot. Huamin lowered his head and smiled. Her salary had indeed skyrocketed, which was a pleasant surprise. Southside was a high-end hospital. Normally, an ordinary doctor's annual salary was 600,000 yuan. She was a chief physician, so naturally, she had to double her salary. An annual salary of 2 million was something that Huamin didn't even dare to dream about. But now he had achieved it. She was very good at managing money. Every month, she would give her mother a few tens of thousands of yuan. She would spend a portion of her own money and leave a portion for Zhixin to use when he got married. Qin Chu's salary was also transferred to her account every month. Therefore, Huamin could be said to be a little rich woman now. Every time I see President Wu, he always praises you. How could I not know? Keep a low profile, keep a low profile. Huamin made a shushing gesture. At that moment, she was so adorable that Huo felt like his heart was about to melt. He had the urge to pounce on her and kiss her fiercely, but he could only think about it. Huamin was slow to warm up, so those who wanted to pursue her would have to take their time. If he was too hasty, it would only backfire. Huo looked at Huamin with a strange expression on his face. Huamin frowned. What's with that look? Look. Huo laughed. Why do I feel like it's the look of a dog looking at a bone? Huo didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Little sister Mian, can we change the analogy? That's not a very friendly analogy. Huamin ignored him and continued eating. Oh right, didn't Hui Yanyan treat you badly in the past? Do you want revenge? I can easily ruin her reputation? Huo smiled sinisterly. Chapter 1169. I don't want to. Huamin refused without hesitation. What? You don't want revenge? No, she's already in a miserable state. I don't want to kick her when she's down. Plus, she's been quiet lately. Ever since her mom and brother got into trouble, she's been keeping a low profile. I don't want to bully someone who's on the verge of breaking down. Huamin used to dislike Hui Yanyan because he thought she was stupid and annoying. But now, he really didn't feel that way anymore. He would even help her when those socialites bullied her. This wasn't repaying evil with kindness. It could only be said that the word Hua couldn't be written with one stroke. Although she wasn't born into the Hua family, Hua Yanyan had known her since they were kids. Even if they were enemies, there was no need to be so cruel. Okay, you're always so kind. Hua Min ate quietly and didn't continue the conversation. Did the old man come to you recently? Yeah, I rejected him. Good girl, he won't be around much longer. Hua Xichen smiled proudly. Then, what about Xinjiani and Hua Si? Hua Min was curious. He heard that Hua Zhenghai locked Xinjiani up after the incident. That pair of mother and son ran away. Ran away? Hua Xichen nodded. Yeah, she ran away with the adulterer. They left the city. According to my reliable sources, they went to Australia. Then, what about Hua Yanyan? Hua Min was a little surprised. I don't care about that. Xinjiani can't even protect herself. But that woman is still very powerful. She didn't give me everything when I forced her. When she ran away this time, she took away the safe she kept in the bank. I guess there will be some money and jewelry in it. She can't leave empty-handed. She must have figured out that she can't get any benefits from the old man. Especially if she drags on, it's better for her to leave. When the old man falls, she will come back. Then Hua Yanyan was abandoned just like that? Hua Min felt quite upset. Hua Yanyan was basically at the point where her grandmother no longer doted on her and her uncle no longer loved her. Her biological mother and adulterer had run away with her younger brother, and her biological father had taken care of a college student outside. She couldn't even stay in the Hua family properly. This was because the Hua Xichen and Jiang Hong ruled over the Hua family. Hua Xichen said disdainfully, "Oh, she hasn't been home for a long time. I heard that she met a man outside. He's a small contractor. She's been hanging out with him for a long time and has given up on herself." Hua Min was completely silent. Hua Yanyan was once a proud daughter of the heavens. She started out as a dancer, knew how to play the piano, and was dressed in branded clothes. She used to be a famous socialite in the circle and was quite pretty. But now, she was in such a pitiful state. She actually understood Hua Yanyan a little. She loved Hua Xichen deeply but couldn't get him. In the end, she decided to avoid Hua Xichen. In order to leave the Hua family, she had to find herself a place to stay. Maybe there was no love between her and that small contractor. But at least she had a place to stay for the time being. Then, what about her share of the company? Oh, I took it all back. She wanted to date that kid from the Shen family for a while. She didn't have any clothes to wear, so I lent her 500,000 yuan to buy clothes and jewelry. She mortgaged it to me. Hua Min was speechless. Hua Yanyan sold her share of the company for 500,000 yuan? Seriously? Hua Min didn't know what to say. Mian, do you feel sorry for her? Hua Xichen moved closer to Hua Min's face. His voice was mysterious and hoarse, and there was an unreadable light in his eyes. There's nothing to feel sorry for. The winner takes all. Isn't that the rule of survival? Hua Min calmed himself down and replied. Hua Xichen left after having dinner with her. Hua Min also got back to work and stopped worrying about Hua Yanyan's current situation. At the Su family mansion, huh? Old man, you're back? Su Yu saw his grandfather sitting in the living room drinking tea as soon as he walked in. Brat, come here. I have something to talk to you about. Which socialite's daughter is it this time? You made me go on blind dates all at once. Su Yu seemed to know his grandfather very well. Brat, Mayor Song has a daughter who's about your age. Mayor Song called me last night to tell me. The Song Isher? Su Yu was so angry that he almost stomped his feet. Chapter 1170. Yes, that girl's name is Song Isher. I heard that she was studying abroad in Italy, and then, before Lord Su could finish, Su Yu interrupted him impatiently. Old man, are you crazy? You want to introduce that bitch to me? Do you know how bad her reputation is in the industry? Su Yu was about to explode. Luckily, his grandpa told him this directly. If it were Mayor Song, he probably wouldn't be able to resist slapping him. Was Su Yu blind? Why would he want Song Isher? You know her? Lord Su came to a realization when he heard his grandson's words. I don't just know her, I've seen her many times. That woman is terrible. I've never seen such a terrible woman in my life. You want to introduce her to me? Are you okay? Do you want the Su family to have no descendants? Is it that serious? I sent someone to ask around, and she's not bad. They said that the girl is good-looking, highly educated, and reasonable. Tell me, who did you ask? I'll slap him to death right now. I'll make him lie through his teeth. Su Yu was furious. Before Lord Su could speak, Su Yu pointed at his grandpa and asked in all seriousness, "Old man, does my grandma know that you have such bad taste?" Lord Su was speechless. Wasn't he just looking out for a blind date for his grandson? Did he have to drag his deceased grandma into this? It was obvious how angry Su Yu was. Don't talk nonsense. Sit down and tell me what's going on. Seeing his grandson fly into a rage, Lord Su also felt that there might be something fishy going on. Therefore, he patted the seat next to him, and Su Yu immediately went up and wrapped his arms around his grandpa's neck. Old man, let me tell you, this woman's appearance is all fake. She's reasonable, kind-hearted, and graceful. Other than her face, everything about her is fake. Also, you don't know how bad she is. She likes GK's president, and knowing that he's married, she still tried to ruin their relationship. Don't you also like GK's president's wife? Are you more noble than her? Lord Su was quick-witted. After the incident with the military doctor, Lord Su sent someone to investigate and found out that his granddaughter was infatuated with a married woman. At the time, he was quite angry, but after an in-depth investigation he found out that it was just his grandson's one-sided love, and he didn't do anything immoral. Lord Su Yu was appeased and didn't pursue the matter. It wasn't hard to imagine that Su Yu had never spoken to his grandpa. He had never bullied the weak Su Yu just because his grandpa was the head of the military. Even when he was at a bottleneck when he started his business, he didn't need his grandpa's help. Now, because of a couple who was hospitalized, he needed to transfer a military doctor. How could Lord Su not investigate something like this? Grandpa, how is that the same? My love was one-sided. I didn't do anything to ruin it. I was just following my own thoughts. Song Yisher, on the other hand, has been trying to drive a wedge between her and her mother-in-law. Just yesterday, she forced Huamin to go on live TV and compete with him in IQ. I think that Song Yisher is not only a scumbag, but also a retard. If you say that, then you definitely won't go on a blind date? Lord Su glanced at Su Yu. His expression was quite serious. Of course, let me tell you this, even if all the women in the world died and in the end, only Song Yisher and a Sao were left, I would definitely choose the Sao. There's no doubt about it. Upon hearing Su Yu's words, Lord Su almost spat out a mouthful of tea. His grandson's mouth was really wicked sometimes. He belittled a girl to the point that she was worse than a Sao. That was why it was said that no one should offend Su Yu. His mouth was as nasty as Mr. Chin's. All right, since you've said so, I won't say anything more. I believe that you still have the most basic judgment. I'll reject Mayor Song right now. After saying that, the old man picked up the landline and dialed a number. On the other side, the Song family was trying their best to persuade their daughter, Song Yisher. Sure, I don't want to nag you, but Qin Chu, don't think about him. We're so good, there's no need for you to suck up to him. The Su family is many times better than the Qin family, and with their connections to the military, your dad might be transferred to the province in the future. You have to think about it. Chapter 1171. I hate Su Yu. Song Yisher's face darkened as she refused. Even if you like him, it's not going to happen. The Su family just called and the old general rejected my proposal. Mayor Song walked over and said unhappily. That's good. I don't want to see Su Yu anyway. That man is really hard to like. He's nothing compared to Qin Chu. Song Yisher commented viciously. Dad wants to ask you, are you sure you want to get involved in Qin Chu's marriage? This was the first time Mayor Song had asked his daughter such a serious question. Yes, Song Yisher answered without hesitation. Mayor Song looked at his daughter slightly disappointed. Sure, there's a big forest out there. Why are you so stubborn? No one can replace Qin Chu's excellence. But he has a wife. Mrs. Song interjected. He can get a divorce, Song Yisha answered as she looked down at her phone. Mayor Song sighed slightly. I've known Qin Chu for a long time, so I know him well. He's really good and is the best candidate for my son-in-law. But he's married and they're in a good relationship. Sure, what you're doing is destroying his family. It's immoral. What's immoral? People nowadays only care about the results. Who cares if you're immoral? Plus, I can't eat immoral food. They won't give me a medal. Why should I follow those old ideas and so-called morals? People will gossip about you if you're a mistress. You're not afraid of being criticized, but what about your father? Don't you care about the mayor's reputation? You're too stubborn. Mrs. Song saw that her daughter was still troubled by Qin Chu and didn't want her to continue being so willful. She and Mayor Song had been trying their best to persuade their daughter to mend her ways. You guys? I'll just say that you guys are too old-fashioned. There's a thing called public opinion nowadays, and there's a profession called the Internet Water Army. I can hire a large number of Internet Water Army to help me clear my name and then smear Huamin's name. Then, I can fabricate a story that she's the third party between me and Qin Chu. After a few years, as long as I'm Lady Qin, everything will be settled. Who will care whether she's innocent or wronged? Isn't this harming people? Mayor Song was actually a rather upright person. Unlike his daughter, he did not have the same thoughts as his daughter. Who did you harm? Huamin? That's not called harm. It's survival of the fittest. If she loses, she has to admit it. This is the law of nature. Song Yisha said confidently, if that's the case, then there's nothing more to say. Do whatever you want. You're an adult now, and we're all old. We can't control you anymore, but I hope you won't regret your decision today. Seeing that his daughter was determined, Mayor Song didn't waste any more time and got up to leave. Sure, don't make us worry. Your dad said that after he retires, we'll immigrate to Australia. No, I'm not going anywhere. I want to have Qin Chu. Song Yisha's goal wasn't as simple as having Qin Chu. Instead, she wanted to take away Huamin's most precious thing. This had become a personal grudge between the two women. Song Yisha didn't love Qin Chu. Instead, she wanted to control him. She wanted to take over his body. When it was almost time to get off work, Huamin tidied up her desk. Then, she took off her white lab coat and changed into her red cotton-padded jacket. She wore the weibo and hat that Mrs. Xian knitted for her. She looked especially cute with her purse. Goodbye, Chief Hua. Goodbye, Chief Hua. Along the way, her colleagues all greeted her. Huamin walked out of her office. Before she could find her car, she saw a Maybach parked outside. She jogged over and knocked on the car window. Hey, handsome, you're not allowed to park here. You're fined 200 yuan. Hurry up and pay up. Huamin extended her hand and smiled mischievously. Chapter 1172. Huamin was just joking, however. Mr. Qin was even more ruthless. He took out a stack of cash from his bag and placed it in Huamin's hand. Then he asked shamelessly, I've paid my fine, and I'll give you the rest as a tip. By the way, pretty girl, do you want to stay the night? Holy shit. Huamin felt like she was struck by lightning. Mr. Qin must be a genius to be able to come up with such a dirty word like, spend the night. Therefore, Huamin didn't back down and said, it's not worth it to stay the night. How about this? You pay me 10 million yuan in one go, and I'll give you a discount for the year. That's not a bad idea. After speaking, Qin Chu took out his phone and started playing with it. What are you doing? Huamin didn't understand. I'm transferring money to you. Didn't you say 10 million yuan is enough for the year? Shit, stop, I was just joking. Huamin panicked and stuck her head in the car window. She wanted to stop Mr. Qin's ridiculous behavior. However, this was exactly what she wanted. As soon as she stuck her head in, Qin Chu immediately held her head in his hands and kissed her passionately. The two of them were too engrossed. The cars behind them were blocked by the Maybach, and they kept honking their horns. Hey, do you want to flaunt your love at home? What kind of manners are you having sex in the car in broad daylight? The man in the BMW behind them cursed. Huamin immediately pulled her head back, opened the door to the passenger seat, and quickly got into the car. Honey, let's have roast lamb tonight, okay? I saw someone post a picture on WeChat last night, and I'm craving it. Sure, but we have to go back to my parents' place first. Where are you going? Yeah, my dad called and asked us to go back for dinner. I think he misses us. Let's go back and check on him, and then we'll leave without dinner. I'll eat roast lamb with you. Chin Chu was very considerate. Okay, then let's go back. We can have roast lamb tomorrow. Let's eat there tonight. I don't want to disappoint my parents. Huamin was very understanding. Especially after she had reconciled with Chin Chu's parents, she wouldn't just care about her own thoughts. She knew how to compromise occasionally for the sake of Chin Chu. This was one of the reasons why Chin Chu loved her so much. The two of them drove straight back to the Chin family's old mansion. Chin Chu had been busy recently, and it seemed that he hadn't been back for a long time. When the Chin couple saw that their son and daughter-in-law had returned, they were immediately in a good mood. Wash your hands and eat. Lady Chin finally smiled. Chin Yumin came downstairs, took off his reading glasses and said, "Your mom has a sharp tongue but a soft heart. She knows that Mian loves seafood, so she ordered it to be flown over. It's very fresh." Thank you. Huamin looked at Lady Chin and nodded. It's time to call her mom. Chin Chu whispered in her ear. Huamin's cheeks blushed slightly. After a while, she said, "Thank you, Mom." Lady Chin was walking over with a plate of crabs, and her body trembled slightly. She never thought that one day, Huamin would be able to let go of everything and call her mom. "Mom, what are you waiting for? Where's the red packet? You can't call me Mom for nothing." Chin Chu questioned her loudly on purpose. Huamin was embarrassed and immediately elbowed Chin Chu, signaling for him to stop talking. It was as if she called her mom just for money. It seemed like Mr. Chin had been planning this ever since he took his mother's red packet at Sky Blessing Court that day. Huamin suddenly felt that Chin Chu was so two-faced that he even tricked his own mother. Upon hearing her son's question, Lady Chin finally reacted. She put down the crabs in her hand and immediately rushed upstairs. Chapter 1173. Your mom is just overjoyed and excited. Chin Yumin smiled. "Dad, have a seat." Huamin pulled out a chair and said to Chin Yumin. Okay. Chin Yumin was overjoyed and nodded vigorously. Chin Chu looked at Huamin gently. He felt like Huamian was like a shy little wife who just got married. She was so adorable. A minute later, Lady Chin came back with a square handbag in her hand. It was brand new, the style was quite young, and it was obvious that she didn't carry it for her age. "Mom, is your change fee a handbag?" Chin Chu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Don't underestimate this handbag. Your mom bought it a few days ago when she went on a trip to France. It's a limited edition Hermes. I've seen this one before. It's around 400,000 yuan. Mom, you sure are generous." Chin Chu smiled. Lady Chin didn't say anything. Instead, she walked over and handed the handbag to Huamin. "Take it, I bought it for you." Huamin was actually quite embarrassed. After all, it was such an expensive luxury item. "Take it, it's your change fee," Chin Chu reminded her with a smile. "Thank you, Mom." Huamin was no longer reserved and carefully took the handbag. It was a light yellow color with a beautiful design and exquisite workmanship. Huamin really liked this design, but when he heard that it cost 400,000 yuan, Huamin felt like his heart was bleeding. She probably still wasn't used to such a luxurious lifestyle. It seemed like she would have to carry this bag for at least 5 years. Looking at the dazzling array of seafood, Huamin was a little touched. She seemed to be the only one in the family who loved seafood, so everyone prepared everything for her. For the rich Chin family, money was secondary, but the thought was irreplaceable. Ever since they made things clear last time, Lady Chin seemed to have seen through Song Yisher's true colors and stopped bothering Huamin. "Huamin, although seafood is delicious, it's still cold. After you eat it, remember to drink some brown sugar ginger water to get rid of the cold, especially since you're trying to get pregnant," Lady Chin reminded him. "I haven't eaten much in the past few months. And when I do, I'll immediately take some Chinese medicine to warm my womb." Lady Chin nodded. Chu, your uncle called yesterday and said that he wants our family to go to Hawaii for the spring festival. What do you think? Well, Mion's brother is overseas, and she's all alone. She's her. If you and my mom and you want to go, you and her. Then we won't go either. After all, Hawaii is the U.S. No matter how lively it is, it doesn't feel like Chinese New Year. Lady Qin interrupted. Actually, Dad, I think you can invite Uncle and the others back. I did, but they didn't want to. They've been there for decades and seem to think of it as their home, Qin Yumin said meaningfully. The family of four chatted as they ate. Lady Qin suddenly thought of something and looked at Huamin. I saw the live broadcast of you and Song Yisher on TV the other day. Note that Lady Qin now called Song Yisher by her full name, not Shirshir, but Song Yisher. It's a charity program. The program crew said that they can donate 1 million yuan to support out-of-school children. Huamin said casually. She wasn't despicable enough to tell them how Song Yisher framed her. After all, she didn't want to be a despicable person who spoke ill of others. Lady Qin, however, said unhappily, later, I asked someone to investigate the TV station. The TV station doesn't have that program, and the 1 million yuan wasn't from the TV station either. It was Song Yisher who sponsored it. It was all part of her scheme. Chapter 1174. Huamin wasn't surprised at all. When he saw that the director was in cahoots with Song Yisher, he knew the truth. However, he was surprised that Lady Qin would investigate it herself. It seemed like she had learned her lesson. Mom, try not to say that name when you eat, it'll spoil your appetite, Qin Chu reminded his mother. Yeah, let's not talk about her. Upon hearing her son's reminder, Lady Qin immediately came to her senses and stopped talking about Song Yisher. However, everyone knew that Song Yisher no longer had a place in the Qin family. Song Yisher was also trying to make a move on the Qin family's parents. After dinner, Huamin helped the housekeeper clean up the table and made tea for Mr. Qin. It was rare for Qin Chu to have time to drink tea and play chess with his father. Mr. and Mrs. Qin didn't seem to want to leave until it was time to leave. You too, remember to come back often if you're not busy, Lady Qin reminded them. Okay. Huamin and Qin Chu both nodded. Call me if you want to eat anything, I'll prepare it, Lady Qin reminded them again. I know, Ma. You should go home, it's cold outside. After Qin Chu drove his mother home, he got into the car with Huamin. Why don't you open the bag and take a look? Qin Chu smiled as he looked at Huamin, who was sitting in the front passenger seat. Look at what? Huamin was surprised. Look at how much money my mom put in it, huh? Didn't she give you a bag? She still has to pay? Huamin was speechless. From what I know about my mom, she's actually very generous. You can take a look, I'm not sure. Qin Chu said as he drove. Huamin carefully unzipped the bag and saw that there was a lot of cash inside. There were bundles of cash. Huamin checked and found that there were 10 bundles worth 100,000 yuan. There was even a 1 yuan note at the bottom. 1 in 100,000, your mom is so generous? Huamin was dumbfounded. She had only called her mother-in-law mother, but she had actually given her a bag worth 400,000 yuan and 100,000 yuan in cash. So generous that it was beyond recognition. That means she was very happy when you called her mom. Qin Chu raised the corner of his mouth slightly. For so long, the relationship between his mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, which he had been most worried about, had finally improved. She knew that Huamin's impression of her mother had not improved because of money, but because he had seen everything clearly. Honey, GK is hosting a celebrity banquet tomorrow night. Do you want to come? Celebrity banquet? Yeah, all the stars under GK are here. We also invited a few top domestic superstars and directors to talk about GK Entertainment's future development. Oh, that sounds great. Should I bring a little notebook and ask for their autographs at any time? No, they're the ones who have to prepare a notebook and ask for your autograph at any time. You're the president's wife. Huamin smiled. Where is it? What time is it? It starts at 8 p.m. at one of GK's hotels. Okay, I'll go with you. I'm worried about those female stars at GK. They're like monsters who eat people up without spitting out their bones. Huamin decided that he had to attend. Otherwise, those female stars might try to get close to Qin Chu again. Qin Chu smiled. The next day, when Huamin got off work, he called Qin Chu and asked if he wanted to go over early to get changed and put on makeup. Qin Chu said no, because it was a private banquet. They were just eating and singing, so it was more relaxing. Huamin immediately felt relieved. Wearing a white mid-length cotton jacket, a hat, scarf, and black-rimmed glasses, he went to GK headquarters. Then the two drove to the hotel together. It was already 7:50 p.m. when they arrived. Qin Chu and Huamin walked straight into the VIP lounge. It was filled with 30 to 40 celebrities, both male and female. It was a spectacular scene. Sister Huamin, N.I. Yang, who was wearing a handsome long black trench coat, was the first to stand up and greet Huamin. Chapter 1175. Huamin looked at N.I. Yang dotingly. Then, he reached out his hand and high-fived N.I. Yang. The celebrities around them were also envious as they watched. Rumors had it that N.I. Yang was poached by a young lady from GK, and it seemed like the rumors were true. N.I. Yang was closer to Huamin than he was to Qin Chu. There were rumors that N.I. Yang and Huamin had an ambiguous relationship, and that was why he got to where he was because of nepotism. Although it was just gossip, Qin Chu forcefully acquired the news agency, and in the end, no one dared to question him. However, all the celebrities knew that N.I. Yang and Huamin were as close as siblings. In GK, Mo Shui and N.I. Yang were the most popular people. Who wouldn't be jealous of them? Annie Liang was wearing a long pink off-shoulder gown. She stood up and greeted Huamin, showing that she was close to a young lady as well. Mian, you're here? Everyone got goosebumps when they heard her call Mian. Huamin nodded with a smile, but he didn't expose Annie Liang. This woman had learned her lesson. After seeing Huamin's unshakable position in GK, she started sucking up to him. She had a good relationship with Huamin in public and in private, and she respectfully called him a young lady in private. She purposely called him Mian in public so that others would see how close she was to Huamin. She was truly a scheming bitch. However, Huamin didn't care about these things. In his opinion, as long as it didn't threaten his and Qin Chu's interests, he didn't care. Annie Liang wanted to get close to him, so he just let her be. Qin Chu and Huamin held hands as they walked through the hall and sat down at the table in the middle of the room. The vice president of GK and some key executives were sitting there. President Qin, a young lady. Hello, Chairman Qin. Hello, a young lady. Along the way, all the celebrities, big and small, greeted him. The two of them sat down quietly. Qin Chu waved his hand and gestured for everyone to sit down. Then he began to eat. These celebrities were indeed in the entertainment industry. Their alcohol tolerance was terrifying. Each one was better than the other. Even N.I. Yang's alcohol tolerance had increased a lot. During this period, celebrities kept coming over to propose a toast. Qin Chu and Huamin each had half a glass of red wine left in front of them. Honey, until the end of the dinner, I want to see that there is still wine in your wine glass. Qin Chu said domineeringly. Huamin. Qin Chu was implying that he should not drink too much. Huamin was also obedient. Whenever she met a celebrity who came to propose a toast, she would take small sips of her wine. In the end, when the dinner was over, Qin Chu glanced at Huamin's wine glass. Indeed, there were still 2 drops left. It seemed like she was really obedient this time. Then, the group went to Seductive Fox and booked the biggest private room in Rick's room. It was private and had the best sound system. All the celebrities were in high spirits. Even the usually cold Mo Shui seemed to be in a good mood and sang a few songs. Just then, the door to the private room was pushed open and a man wearing a black leather jacket walked in. He was around 40 years old. He was handsome and looked like a tough guy. Movie King Jiang is here too. That's great. I want to take a picture with him. I want his autograph. I want to have a drink with him. I want to ask him out. Me too. I heard that he's still single. Maybe he likes me. Let's have a flash marriage or something. These young female celebrities were not reserved at all. Huamin was sweating profusely as he listened to their conversation. It was just a man. Did they have to go so far? Celebrities were packaged, weren't they? Anyways, when Jiang Yi arrived, many female celebrities in the private room couldn't help but scream, and who exactly was Jiang Yi? Huamin knew a little about him, even though she wasn't a gossipy person. However, that man was really famous. Chapter 1176. Jiang Yi, male, 39 years old, was a rock singer in the early days. 10 years ago, he changed his career to film and was now a superstar. He specialized in action and military films and became an instant hit. He won many awards, including a Grand Slam in all categories. He had been popular for a long time and had many connections, so he had a high status in the entertainment industry and was respected by many. Apparently, his salary was double that of Mo Shui's, and he was a very influential superstar. Jiang Yi had always lived in Jing City and was signed to a film and television company in Jing City. This time, he came to C City to look for a collaboration with GK Entertainment. He was interested in an indie film that GK was shooting in Africa, so he was recommended by the media and came directly to Qin Chu to support the film. He immediately talked to Qin Chu. As soon as Jiang Yi walked in, the atmosphere in the room became tense. Hi, Shui. Jiang Yi and Mo Shui were good friends. Rumor had it that every time Mo Shui went to Jing City to promote, she would go to Jiang Ye's house. No one knew if they were buddies or just friends, but their relationship was very intriguing. Old Jiang, you're late, you know? We've already had a drink. Mo Shui's cheeks were red and she seemed to have had a lot to drink as well. Then I'll punish myself with 3 drinks, haha, but I'll have to drink with President Qin. Then, Jiang Yi walked straight to Qin Chu's seat with a glass and beer. President Qin, I'm sorry I'm late, I'll punish myself with 3 drinks. Then, Jiang Yi downed 3 glasses in a row, and everyone cheered for him. Then, Jiang Yi sat down next to Qin Chu and lit up a cigarette for Qin Chu. Such an obvious display of goodwill made people gasp in amazement. Some of the young female celebrities beside them were staring blankly at them. Did you see that? No matter how famous you are, you have to behave in front of President Qin. That's right, President Qin is our sugar daddy. No matter how famous a celebrity is, he's still just an employee. I wish I were President Qin, so I could sit so close to Mr. Jiang. I wish I were Mr. Jiang, so I could talk to President Qin in private. At this time, Huamin was sitting far away from Qin Chu because she did not want to continue drinking. And those people would still keep toasting Qin Chu. If he was by his side, he would definitely be reduced to cannon fodder. Therefore, Huamin whispered something in Qin Chu's ear and then hid far away. How far was it? Huamin sat on the edge of the sofa in a private room that could accommodate 50 people, in an inconspicuous corner. She was dressed very plainly. Most of the female celebrities were wearing evening gowns and dresses. Although it was winter, they were still beautiful and moving. After Huamin took off her white cotton jacket, there was a red Mickey Mouse sweater inside. It was the very cute kind. Obviously, it did not match her age. She was suspected of pretending to be young, but there was no other way. Who asked her to be a Disney fan? Therefore, when everyone was drinking and the live music was loud, no one noticed a young lady's corner. Qin Chu, the company's vice president, and a famous director were discussing the new film. When Jiang Yi arrived, he quickly joined in. There was no sense of awkwardness. He was indeed a veteran. After being in the entertainment industry for so many years, he naturally knew how to get along with the boss. Huamin watched as everyone sang, danced, drank, and played dice. Even that brat, Anai Yang, was surrounded by a few female celebrities and forced to drink. This world, Huamin was bored to death. She took out her phone and played a popular mobile game for all ages. She lowered her head and played very seriously. At this time, Jiang Yi got up to go to the washroom, so he walked towards it. Huamin happened to be sitting near the washroom, in a dark corner. She was so engrossed in her game that she did not notice that someone was looking at her from behind. Then, she heard a man's voice say, Not bad, your skills are good. Do you like this game too? After hearing the voice, Huamin jumped in fright. She quickly turned around. She saw a man standing behind her. His hands were on the sofa behind her, and he was very close to her. Chapter 1177. I'm just passing time, I don't really like it. Huamin leaned forward defensively. She kept her distance from this strange man. Although she knew that he was a superstar, she wasn't familiar with him. Xianxia had been paying attention to Huamin for a while now. Most of the female celebrities in the room were wearing evening gowns and sexy one-piece dresses. They were all dressed up flirtatiously. Their makeup was also very delicate and pleasing to the eye. Huamin, on the other hand, didn't wear any makeup. She wore glasses and a Mickey Mouse sweater, making her look out of place. The truth was, she didn't think too much about it, nor did she want to be in the limelight. After all, she wasn't a celebrity and there were no reporters around, so she didn't want to dress up. To be honest, Huamin hated socializing and socializing. However, after she got together with Qin Chu, she had no choice but to go to certain events. She was a simple person. She liked to spend time with her family, lovers, and friends. 10 banquets couldn't compare to a cup of coffee with Zhu Lingling and Jiang Shaowei. 100 banquets couldn't compare to a simple dinner with her mother and Qin Chu. However, Huamin didn't have a choice. Since she became Qin Chu's wife and a young lady of GK, she had to attend certain events. Today, she came to accompany Qin Chu and observe if any other scheming bitches wanted to challenge her. She wanted to deal with them all at once. She never thought that her casual outfit would attract the attention of a superstar. The reason why Xianxia was able to notice her wasn't because of her beauty. Huamin, compared to the other female celebrities, didn't stand out. However, the good thing was that she looked real and dressed like the girl next door, which made her seem more approachable. After Xianxia talked with Qin Chu for a while, he occasionally drank with the celebrities around him. Then he casually glanced over and saw a girl in the corner playing with her phone. At an event like this, the celebrity lineup was comparable to the Spring Festival Gala. Who would have time to play with their phones? Everyone wanted to take photos with them, drink with them, or show off on their social media. Who would still be foolishly hiding in a corner and playing with their phones? Jiang Ye's interest was piqued. He watched for a minute, but did not see Huamin raise his head. He could only see half of his face. Therefore, he was very curious and deliberately used the opportunity of going to the bathroom to get close to her and take the initiative to talk to her. As soon as he spoke, the girl raised her head. Sure enough, although her face wasn't devastatingly beautiful, it was extremely delicate and pretty. Xianxia had been in this industry for many years and had seen many women. He had more than a dozen girlfriends. Needless to say, bed partners, but none of them could make him fall in love, so he had yet to get married. In order to gain attention, some unscrupulous media outlets deliberately slandered him by saying that his sexual orientation had changed. Actually, Xianxia still liked women, but he couldn't bring himself to like those fair-skinned and beautiful faces anymore. I'm tired of the aesthetic. He was even less interested in those female university students who pretended to be innocent, to attract attention, and to play tricks because he believed that he was better at playing tricks. Therefore, it was rare for a girl to arouse his interest, so he took the initiative. Are you a celebrity under GK as well? I've never seen you on TV, are you new? Xianxia looked at Huamin with interest. Normally, people would approach him when they saw him, scream, or post all sorts of messages. However, when Huamin saw him, he seemed a bit conflicted and subconsciously moved away from him. Jiang Ye's lips curled up, thinking that this girl was quite interesting. He was almost 40 years old, and it had been a long time since he last saw such a fun girl. Why did he move so far away? Was he afraid of being molested? What a joke, he was a superstar. It was quite awkward to be mistaken for a newbie at GK. However, it wasn't Jiang Ye's fault. He wasn't a local and rarely watched the news here. Naturally, he didn't know that GK's president had a wife and only thought that she was a newbie at GK. I'm actually... Huamin was about to explain his identity. Chapter 1178. Suddenly, a second-rate female celebrity walked over and intimately hooked her arm around Jiang Ye's. Big brother Yi, let's have another drink. It's rare to see you, let's drink until we're drunk. Jiang Yi couldn't refuse. Even though these female celebrities weren't famous, they were all signed to GK. Therefore, he had no choice but to drink with them. Huamin took this opportunity to get up and sneak into the washroom. Jiang Yi finished a glass of wine and wanted to continue talking to Huamin, but Huamin was gone. He was confused. A glass of wine only took 5 seconds. How did Huamin run away? Was he a ghost? Why did he run away so fast? Jiang Yi smiled helplessly. He thought to himself, I'll wait here and see if you come out of the washroom or not. As expected, 5 minutes later, Huamin couldn't stay any longer. She walked out of the washroom to see that this man was still there. Jiang Yi smiled and was about to speak when he saw her walk over. However, Huamin turned the corner and walked out. Jiang Yi froze on the spot. He felt like he was struck by lightning. Did he fail to hit on her again? Huh? Could it be she's playing hard to get? Jiang Yi raised his eyebrows playfully. He thought that this girl might be playing a game of cat and mouse with him, trying to pique his interest. Perhaps it was because he was in a complicated industry, so he didn't think anyone was that simple. Not far away, Qin Chu was chatting with the directors. Occasionally, he would look up at Huamin. When he saw Huamin walk out, he froze for a second but didn't immediately chase after him. Seductive Fox was Rick's territory, so he didn't have to worry about Huamin's safety. After Huamin left the room, he wandered around the hallway to get some fresh air. To be honest, she didn't admire that superstar, nor did she have any feelings for him. She didn't want to talk to him, it was that simple. As Huamin wandered around, he suddenly heard a door slam open at the end of the hallway. Huamin then saw a girl walking towards them angrily. When she got closer, Huamin realized that she was the girl that Rick had taken to the movies last time. She was also the one who had attended Rick's private cocktail party. If he remembered correctly, her name should be Cici, right? Are you okay? Huamin asked kindly when he saw the anger on the girl's face. I'm fine. The girl said that she was fine, but her brows were tightly knitted. Then she angrily ran downstairs. Just then Rick chased after her. Wait a minute, listen to me. I won't listen, I won't listen, I won't listen. Cici said as she ran. Cici, it's not what you think, you've wronged me. Rick wasn't a talkative person. Although he was as quiet as Qin Chu was a black-bellied person. When it came to slandering people, his mouth was especially vicious. Rick, on the other hand, was quiet and clumsy. Most importantly, it was his first time in love, so he didn't know how to get along with a girl. Seeing this, Huamin finally understood. Oh, so the two of them were fighting? When Rick passed by Huamin, he didn't forget to nod and greet him in a friendly manner. Huamin nodded as well, but before he could say anything, he chased after the girl downstairs. It seemed like even young masters couldn't escape the torment of a girl in love. Huamin looked at Rick's back and sighed. Even heroes have a weakness for the charms of beautiful women. It seems like our ancestors were right. Oh, is our department director Hua lamenting life again? The familiar voice behind him almost scared Huamin to death. She turned her head, and when she saw the face, she punched Su Yu's shoulder. Are you trying to scare me to death? You came and went like a ghost. Chapter 1179. Hey, watch your image. You're a chief physician, don't do something so unladylike, okay? Su Yu smiled with a toothpick in his mouth. I'm not a lady, okay? The setting you gave me was wrong to begin with. Everything you say is right. I can't out-talk you. Su Yu looked at Huamin with glowing eyes. Why you here? Huamin looked at Su Yu curiously. Our company is having a party too. Su Yu said casually, but he couldn't hide the surprise in his eyes when he saw Huamin. He had noticed a long time ago that Huamin rarely came to nightclubs. The only time he came was at Seductive Fox. Since the owner of Seductive Fox had a good relationship with Qin Chu, he only went to Seductive Fox whenever he went to nightclubs. That way, the chances of him bumping into Huamin would greatly increase. For the current Su Yu, as long as he could see Huamin once in a while, he would feel very happy. This outfit is not bad. It suits you very well. Huamin was wondering why Su Yu's words were so pleasant today, but he continued, it's very childish. Damn you. I knew you wouldn't say anything nice. I was wondering why you changed. You're still the same as before. Huamin laughed. She had to admit that the awkwardness between her and Su Yu had changed to that of an old friend. They could joke around and chat, of course. This was only if Su Yu didn't say anything emotional. Once Su Yu became serious, Huamin would still feel awkward. I've always been like this, Su Yu said proudly. Then, he suddenly thought of something fun and said to Huamin, let me tell you a joke. Huamin nodded and listened attentively. My grandpa arranged a blind date for me yesterday with Song Yisher. Yeah, that bitch, Su Yu emphasized. Huamin was speechless. Did you go? Huamin looked at Su Yu sympathetically. How is that possible? Would I still be me if I went? Oh my god, I don't want to lie to you. She's the most fake and bitch I've ever seen. It was obvious that Su Yu's comments. Huamin lowered his head and thought for a moment. Then he said, she's not good enough for you. Huamin thought that other than having a bad temper, being a bit of a spendthrift, being a bit arrogant, and being a bit childish, everything else about Su Yu was great. He had a good personality, a good family background, and good looks. Song Yisher really wasn't good enough for an excellent man like Lord Su. This was the truth. Wow, I've known you for so long, but that's the best thing I've ever heard. Su Yu took out a toothpick from his mouth, leaned against the wall, and crossed his legs. Every time he was alone with Huamin, he would feel unusually happy. He would also selfishly want time to slow down a little. I'm just telling the truth, okay? Huamin looked at Su Yu and smiled. The old man basically won't arrange any more blind dates. He's already arranged more than 20, but none of them worked out. The old man seems to have given up on me. Su Yu seemed to be talking to himself as he spoke to Huamin. Huamin lowered his head guiltily. I believe that an excellent girl will appear by your side. She's already here. Su Yu smiled bitterly. Huamin's heart skipped a beat, and he didn't say anything else. Just then, the door to the private room opened, and Jian Tong walked out. She was stunned at first, but then she looked at Su Yu and said gently, President Su, everyone wants you to go back and play dice. Su Yu nodded. Huamin immediately looked up at him. Then you should get back to work, I have to go back too. After speaking, Huamin turned around and walked back to his private room. Su Yu watched her quietly until she walked in. Only then did he walk in himself. What's your name? As soon as Huamin sat down, Jiang Yi appeared out of nowhere and sat down directly next to him. Huamin replied calmly. Mian? That name sounds familiar. Jiang Yi frowned slightly. He could swear that he had heard this name before. Chapter 1180. Maybe it's because there are a lot of people with the same name as me. No, I must have heard of it somewhere before. Jiang Yi was racking his brain. Huamin definitely wasn't a celebrity. There was no such person in the entertainment industry. But this name was definitely familiar. He had heard it before, and he always thought he had a good memory. But at this moment, he was completely dumbfounded. Huamin didn't say much. She sat in the corner and quietly played with her phone. The atmosphere was still high, and everyone seemed to be having a good time. Huamin sneaked a glance at Qin Chu and saw that he was seriously talking to a few directors. Although he was young, he didn't pale in comparison to the others in his seat. He had great control over the situation. The directors were also very respectful towards Qin Chu. He didn't say anything. He just quietly listened to their opinions and then gave his accurate comments. Perhaps Qin Chu noticed that someone was sneaking glances at him, so he suddenly turned his head. Huamin immediately lowered her head and pretended to play with her phone. She couldn't let Mr. Qin find out that she was sneaking glances at him, or else he would become even more arrogant. Of course, Qin Chu knew what Huamin was thinking. He only smiled dotingly and didn't say anything. Just then, Jiang Yi walked over with a glass of wine. Young lady, let's have a drink and be friends. My name is Jiang Yi. Perhaps he wanted to remind Huamin that he was a celebrity, so Jiang Yi emphasized his name. On the plane, even the flight attendants in the first-class cabin were infatuated with him and asked for photos and autographs. Jiang Yi glanced around. Other than this young lady who was playing with her phone, there were other female celebrities in the room. Everyone else took the initiative to take photos and drink with him. Some of the braver ones directly asked for his phone number and WeChat. Their intentions were direct and obvious, but the more they acted like this, the less interested Jiang Yi was in them. All men were like this. Young and beautiful women would definitely attract men's attention. Nowadays, all the nightclubs were filled with young models from the 90s. If you slapped your BMW keys on the coffee table, they would immediately jump into your arms. That was how society worked. Jiang Yi was rich, handsome, and famous. Especially since he was still single, he became the target of many female celebrities. Aside from Mo Shui, all the other women came up to him one after another. Even Annie Liang didn't hold back. She added Jiang Ye's WeChat and sent him many sexy photos. Her motive for asking Pao out was even more obvious, but the more he acted like this, the more Jiang Yi felt that this man was despicable. This was human nature. There was an old saying that hurrying is not a business transaction. That was exactly what it meant. The active party would always be led by the nose, forever in a passive state. Before Huamin could answer, Anai Yang appeared out of nowhere. She raised her wine glass and said, "I'll drink on her behalf." "Brother Anai Yang, this is the first time I've seen you defend someone like this." Jiang Yi smiled meaningfully. Huamin could smell the strong smell of alcohol on Anai Yang's body. He tapped his head with his finger. "Kid, don't drink so much. You just got out of the hospital not long ago. I know, it's fine." Anai Yang smiled and drank the wine on behalf of Huamin. Anai Yang was the most famous of the male idols and had the most fans in the industry. However, Jiang Yi had never seen him in a scandal with another woman. Now that he was so protective of this girl, Jiang Yi suddenly felt that it was even more interesting. He moved closer to Anai Yang's ear and whispered, in a low voice, he asked, "Do you like her?" "Are you fucking crazy? She's my sister." Anai Yang was a little angry. "Your biological sister?" Jiang Yi asked again. "No, but she's better than my biological sister. Without her, Anai Yang wouldn't be who he is today." Anai Yang said righteously. If Huamin didn't arrange the surgery for him, he really wouldn't know what he would be like right now. Therefore, in Anai Yang's heart, Huamin's position as his sister was unshakable, and he wouldn't allow anyone to tarnish her position. "I really didn't know that you would recognize a little white girl as your sister." Jiang Yi smiled as he held his wine glass. "Little white? You think she's a little white?" Anai Yang looked at Jiang Yi as if he was looking at an idiot. "Isn't she? Didn't she tell you who she is?" Anai Yang smiled even more proudly. Jiang Yi felt a little uneasy as he looked at the kid's evil smile. Chapter 1181. Just as Anai Yang was about to reveal Huamin's identity, he saw Qin Chu walking towards them. Under everyone's gaze, he walked over and gently caressed Huamin's delicate face. "Are you sleepy?" "I'm fine." Huamin smiled. At this moment, Jiang Ye's eyes were wide open. He was obviously shocked beyond words. Anai Yang looked at him with schadenfreude, thinking to himself, "You're an idiot now, aren't you? This is what you get for flirting with my Huamin. Let's see how the president will deal with you." "President Qin, this is?" Jiang Yi looked at Qin Chu, dumbfounded, and then looked at Huamin. "My wife, Huamin." Jiang Yi froze on the spot. His expression was hilarious. "Brother Jiang Yi, don't tell me you don't know a young lady?" Annie Liang walked over with a strange smile on her face. "I really don't know her. I've never seen her before. My wife isn't from the entertainment industry, so she's rarely in public. It's normal that you don't know her." After Qin Chu finished speaking, he looked down at his watch and then looked around. "It's getting late, let's call it a day." "Okay, President Qin." "Thank you for the drinks, President Qin." "Thank you for your hospitality, President Qin." Many celebrities gathered around and saluted their boss. Jiang Yi, on the other hand, had mixed feelings. He suddenly realized why the name Huamin, sounded so familiar. When he was at a gathering with some directors, he heard that GK's President Qin had a wife that he loved dearly. They were childhood sweethearts, and their relationship ran deep. That girl could even make many important decisions within GK. So, this legendary girl was the one in front of him who played with her phone and wore Mickey Mouse. That was too shocking. Jiang Yi always thought that President Qin's wife was at least classy and elegant, if not devastatingly beautiful. He didn't think that she would be so down-to-earth, like the little girl next door. At this thought, he was a bit jealous. No wonder Xiao Qin liked her. Who wouldn't like her? Then, Qin Chu held Huamin's hand and left. He left the private room for everyone to continue having fun, and Qin Chu paid for all the expenses. After Qin Chu left, the directors began to behave naughtily and began to hug the female stars. Mo Shui left first. She seemed to have gone to Hua Xiqian's place. Everyone knew about her relationship with Hua Xiqian. Therefore, no one talked about it too much. Brother Jiang Yi, which hotel are you staying at? Annie Liang asked. Boss Qin arranged for the 5-star hotels under the company. Do you need someone to accompany you? Annie Liang asked bluntly. Why do you want to come? That depends on whether you need it or not. Annie Liang lifted Jiang Ye's chin with her red fingernails. If it was in the past, he might have been able to play around. But now, for some reason, looking at the standard face of an internet celebrity with heavy makeup in front of him, Jiang Yi suddenly lost all interest. My kidneys have been weak lately. If you don't mind, you can come over. You're so annoying, you're teasing me again. Jiang Yi tactfully rejected Annie Liang. Then he probed, does President Qin's wife also work at GK? Of course not. A young lady is a godlike woman. She's a legend in Sea City. Really? What kind of legend? Jiang Yi looked at Annie Liang with interest. You seem to be very interested in young madam's affairs? What I want to know is, what kind of woman is President Qin's woman? Jiang Yi lit a cigarette, took a deep puff and laughed. She is a woman with an incredibly high IQ. Do you know what she does for a living? Annie Liang asked with a smile. Jiang Yi shook his head. Chapter 1182. She's the youngest chief physician in the country with an annual salary of 1.2 million. She's a famous neurologist at Southside Recuperation Center. Doctor? Jiang Yi was surprised. Huamin didn't look like she was more than 25 years old. How could she be a chief physician at such a young age? Not a doctor, I'm a chief physician. Chief, do you understand? She manages the entire department. Then President Qin must have pulled some strings for her, right? Wrong. If President Qin pulled some strings, she'd probably be the director of Southside Recuperation Center. Annie Liang smiled. Although she was jealous of Huamin, she had to admit that Huamin was very capable. But it doesn't make sense for her to be a chief physician at such a young age. Jiang Yi thought about the girl with black-rimmed glasses and a Mickey Mouse outfit who was playing with her phone. A girl who looked like a girl next door was actually a first-rate doctor. It was unbelievable. He never would have thought of such a career. He always thought that being a doctor was a very heavy job. Plus, the workload was so heavy that normal people couldn't handle it. That's why a young lady is a genius. There's no doubt about that. Her brain. Let me put it this way, all the female artists under our company combined their brains wouldn't be as smart as hers. She's super smart? Jiang Yi gave a precise description. Yes, that's right. Her IQ is too high, or else President Qin wouldn't love her so much. Annie Liang had a misunderstanding. Like Song Yisher, she always thought that Qin Chu loved Huamin so much because she was smart. But that wasn't the case. President Qin's IQ wasn't low either. He loved Huamin. It was a seed of love that was planted when he was young. After all these years, it was already deeply rooted in his bones. So, what did Qin Chu like about Huamin? He couldn't pinpoint the exact reason. Because as long as it was Huamin, he would love her regardless of her strengths and weaknesses. He could accept everything. I see. But she's pretty low-key. I thought she was a newbie at the company. I almost made a fool of myself. Jiang Yi was a little embarrassed. After he finished speaking, he took a sip of red wine. A young lady is indeed low-key. Whether it's the car she drives, the clothes she wears, or the way she speaks, she's not ostentatious at all. This is a calmness that most girls her age don't have. Annie Liang gave a rare comment. President Qin, you're so lucky to have a good wife, Jiang Yi exclaimed. Anyways, if you want to work with GK, remember this truth. What? Jiang Yi looked at Annie Liang in confusion. You can offend anyone in GK, even President Qin, but never offend a young lady. Why? Because our President Qin dotes on his wife as much as his life. This sentence is not exaggerated at all. He really does understand. With that, Annie Liang smiled, picked up her glass of wine, and went to another table. Jiang Yi was left sitting there alone. His heart was filled with all sorts of mixed feelings. He was still very curious. What kind of girl was Huamin? How could someone like Qin Chu fall in love with her so much? He was getting more and more interested. Su Yu played around in the private room for a while, but his mind was elsewhere. He kept thinking about whether Huamin was still next door. President Su, why don't I go next door and take a look? I know a few celebrities there. Jian Tong could tell that her boss was itching for Huamian, so she took the initiative to suggest this. What are you looking for? Just sit there, we're competitors now, you'd be asking for trouble if you went over. Actually, if you want to see her, just call her and ask her out. You look terrible. Jian Tong felt bad for her boss. It's not as simple as you think. Su Yu was a little depressed as he took another big gulp of wine. Indeed, he couldn't just call Huamin. He already said that he didn't want to cause trouble for her. Inside the Maybach, Qin Chu looked at Huamin as he drove. It seems like I can't bring you to events like this anymore. What? Did I embarrass Mr. Qin? Huamin looked at Qin Chu, amused. Chapter 1183. It's not that I'm embarrassed, it's that my wife is always on the receiving end of attention. Huamin was speechless. I don't even mind that you're being teased by those women. It's not the same. I attract trash and flies, but you attract hardcore fans. It's scary. Qin Chu retorted shamelessly. Huamin was speechless. It seemed like Mr. Qin's conclusion was spot on. That night, the two of them went to bed early. Mo Shui left Seductive Fox first and went to Hua Xiqian's private mansion. After the two of them did it, Hua Xiqian leaned against the headboard and smoked. Sleeping with Mo Shui was purely a physical need, and it was purely a way to vent. Compared to those dumbass internet celebrities, Mo Shui was smart and skillful. She was the perfect choice for Hua Xiqian's bed partner. What are you thinking about? Why are you spacing out? Mo Shui reached out and gently stroked Hua Xiqian's sexy chest. Her index finger drew circles on his chest like she was a pro. Nothing, he said in a low voice and then took another deep puff of his cigarette. We're having dinner tonight, and Huamin is coming too. Mo Shui said, Really? Yeah, she's really funny. Actually, sometimes I think Huamin does it on purpose. On purpose? Hua Xiqian looked down at Mo Shui with a questioning look. I think she does it on purpose to show off. It's an important party, and so many of us female celebrities are wearing evening gowns and dresses, but Huamin is wearing a ridiculous Mickey Mouse sweater. She doesn't fit in at all, and that's why she's attracting so much attention. Us flamboyant people are just there to serve as a contrast. Hua Xiqian chuckled. That's why I said that your taste will always be inferior to hers. Mo Shui retorted, I think Huamin is a scheming bitch. Seriously, she must have dressed like that on purpose. She even sat so far away from President Qin. It's obvious that she did it on purpose to attract Jiang Ye's attention. Jiang Yi? Hua Xiqian paused. Yeah, it's not like you don't know that famous actor. Of course I know. How could I not know what you did before? Hua Xiqian said with a mocking smile. Mo Shui was obviously uncomfortable, so she smiled awkwardly, then she said coquettishly, Aya, can you stop talking about this? That was in the past. At that time, you had another woman and I was heartbroken. That was why he took advantage of me. You know, I don't have any feelings for him. Unfortunately, I'm not interested in your relationship with him at all. I just want to know what's wrong with him. Is he interested in my Huamin? Hua Xiqian domineeringly referred to Huamin as his Huamin. It was obvious that their relationship wasn't normal. Mo Shui was slightly jealous. Yeah, Huamin did it on purpose. Jiang Yi must have noticed her. Think about it, she dressed so weirdly at that kind of event. Plus, she ignored everyone and played with her phone. She must have aroused a man's desire to conquer her. But she sure has guts, seducing another man in front of President Qin. Upon hearing this, Hua Xiqian's face darkened. He raised his hand and rudely removed Mo Shui's hand from his chest. Why are you saying that she seduced Jiang Yi and not the other way around? I don't think so. Jiang Yi is a superstar, why would he be interested in a noob? At the end of the day, it's all because of her methods. Just then, Hua Xiqian narrowed his eyes and pinched Mo Shui's chin. You seem to be hostile towards my Mian. Chapter 1184. No, I'm just stating a fact. I know you've always loved her, so you can't bear to hear anyone badmouth her. If you know that, then why did you do it? Hua Xiqian tightened his grip. Mo Shui furrowed her brows slightly. Xiqian, are you hurting me? Hua Xiqian suddenly let go, but his expression was still dark. I just don't want you to be fooled by her kind appearance. She's already married, but she's still seducing Su Yu, and Jiang Yi. A woman like her isn't worth your time. Shut your mouth. Xiqian, get out now. Xiqian, don't make me repeat myself. Mo Shui, I'm telling you, don't think that you're mine just because I slept with you. The rules of our game were set from the very beginning. I'm only going to enter your body, I'm not going to enter your life. I hope you'll do the same and stay out of my business. I know better than anyone what kind of person Huamin is. I've known her longer than Qin Chu, so please shut up and get the hell out of my house. Otherwise, you know what I'm going to do. Seeing Hua Xiqian get angry, Mo Shui didn't dare to say anything else. She obediently got up and put on her clothes. She grabbed her bag and left without another word. What she said today was half true and half false. She didn't really think the same way. She took the risk of slandering Huamin because she wanted Hua Xiqian to give up on her. Mo Shui always thought that Hua Xiqian falling in love with Huamin was a tragedy in and of itself. Even an excellent man like Su Yu couldn't get Huamin's love, let alone him. In Mo Shui's eyes, Hua Xiqian was perfect. He was smart, cunning, rich, passionate, and had great skills. When he was with her, he treated her well. He was affectionate but not clingy. The only flaw was that he actually liked Huamin. Both of them liked Huamin, but what was so good about Huamin? The next morning Huamin drove to work at Southside on time. After the morning meeting, he began to make house calls. There were many people who had registered with her because she was very serious. She was never afraid of trouble, nor would she specially prescribe expensive medicine to deceive patients. Therefore, he built a very good reputation and profound medical skills. There was a rumor going around that there was a young female neurologist in Southside. She had excellent medical skills and was very kind. As a result, the number of patients had naturally increased. In order not to tire her out, President Wu had already adjusted her emergency registration fee to 68 yuan. It was a very high price, but it still couldn't stop the enthusiastic crowd. Outside the neurology department, all kinds of patients. Dr. Hua is about to take his lunch break. He's going to rest after seeing one more patient. You guys should go rest first and continue in the afternoon. Also, we'll only see 10 patients this afternoon. Come back tomorrow. Dr. Hua will be tired and his body won't be able to take it. Assistant Qianjie had been helping out with Huamin's work ever since the higher-ups approved Qianjie's application to become an official employee. She treated Huamin like a savior and took care of her boss with great care. Chief, there's one more patient this morning. Qianjie reminded him through the internal line. Got it, let her in. Huamin hung up the phone and pinched the bridge of his nose. He was clearly tired, seeing patients wasn't like other things. Although it didn't require physical strength, it required a lot of mental effort. This was especially true for auditing neurology. Although there weren't many surgeries, the patient's conditions were difficult to treat. Most of the patients were mentally or psychologically ill. Mental patients were often seen. Some of the patients would even suddenly become aggressive, which was very unfavorable to Huamin. Fortunately, she was slowly getting used to it. In her words, it wasn't easy to earn 2 million yuan a year. She was always on tenterhooks. "Hello, Chief." The last patient in the morning walked in. He was a man wearing a mask and was dressed very fashionably. "Take a seat and tell me about your situation," Huamin said in a friendly manner. "Okay." After saying this, the man took off his mask. After seeing his face clearly, Huamin was shocked. Chapter 1185. Why are you here? Huamin had always had a good memory, especially someone she had just met. She might not be interested in the name Jiang Yi, but she was no stranger to this face. He was the man who kept hitting on her at Seductive Fox last night. "Why can't it be me? Are you surprised?" the man asked with a smile. "Yes. I'm surprised too. I didn't know you were a young lady from GK. I also didn't expect you to be a neurologist at such a young age. You're even a chief physician. How amazing are you?" Huamin wasn't happy at all about Jiang Ye's compliments. Instead, she said nonchalantly, "You're not here to chat with me, you're here to see a doctor, right?" "Ah, you have a sharp tongue." "Yes, I'm here to see a doctor." "Sorry to trouble you, Dr. Hua." After speaking, Jiang Yi smiled again. Huamin picked up the medical record that Jiang Yi had filled out earlier and saw the words loneliness phobia written on it. Huamin scanned through some other information. Then she looked up and asked, "Did you diagnose your autism yourself, or did a doctor from another hospital diagnose you?" "I did it myself." "Huh? What makes you think you have this illness? Do you know what it is?" "I do. It's an extremely rare mental illness." "Yes. The symptoms of loneliness phobia are that you don't like to be alone. You always want to be in crowded places. Once you're alone, you'll be afraid of sound. You'll even have nightmares. During this process, you'll have auditory, visual, and auditory hallucinations. Similar to depression, this illness is one of the most difficult mental illnesses to treat, so Huamin paused for a second and asked, "Do you really have this illness, or are you here to tease me and test my medical skills?" "Hi, you're smart. How did you figure that out?" Jiang Yi was impressed. He really didn't have this illness, but he made it up because he wanted to see Huamin at work. To see what kind of state she was in at work, the results were surprisingly good. He thought that Huamin was as cute as the girl next door at work as she was last night. On the contrary, Huamin was very serious, rigid, and even a little unreasonable when he was working seriously. His communication with the patient was also somewhat cold. Sometimes, he would even interrogate the patient as if he was interrogating a criminal. But she couldn't be blamed for this, because if she didn't do it, she would have died. If the patient did not feel pressured, many of them would subconsciously lie because they did not feel pressured. He would conceal some of his symptoms, which would affect Huamin's diagnosis and treatment. "I'm sorry, Mr. Jiang. If you're here to play, then I don't have time to accompany you. Please go out, turn left, and get off the elevator. Go home early, wash up, and sleep. Leave such a precious opportunity to see a doctor for someone who needs it, okay?" Huamin's words left Jiang Yi speechless. "Young lady, do you always speak so harshly? There's no need to be polite to patients who don't respect doctors." "Yes, I have to correct you. You're just a patient pretending to be a patient. I hate people like you the most. You're so boring that you want to take up other people's time to see a doctor." Huamin lowered her head and tossed Jiang Ye's medical record onto the table. It was obvious that she didn't want to say another word to him. "Hey, are you really angry?" I don't mean any harm. I was just joking with you." Jiang Yi immediately explained when he saw that Huamin didn't want to talk to him anymore. "I'm sorry, Mr. Jiang. I don't think I'm close enough to you to joke around. Please be mindful of your status." Huamin raised her head sternly and said word by word, "Are you always so mean to President Qin at home? Jiang Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he looked at the young lady in front of him. Chapter 1186. Huamin glanced at him and replied in all seriousness, "Your question is hilarious. First of all, this is my personal business and I don't have to tell you. Second of all, you're pretending to be a patient and wasting other patients' time. I don't know what your ultimate goal is. Third of all, if you don't leave in 5 seconds, I'm going to call security to escort you out. You don't have to be so serious. Young lady, you don't know how to flirt." Jiang Yi smiled helplessly. 5. Hey Huamin, are you serious? You're going to kick me out? 4. Huamin counted in all seriousness. I'm a superstar. 3. Miss Qin, don't be so serious. For President Qin's sake, please don't be like this, okay? 2. Huamin didn't give up. I'll leave right now. In the end, Jiang Yi compromised. Before Huamin could count to 5, he quickly got up and left. Wait, Huamin called out from behind him. Jiang Yi was pleasantly surprised, thinking that Huamin was going back on his word. He immediately turned around. Huamin pointed at the medical records on the table and said with a dark expression, "Take this away." Jiang Yi picked up the medical records on the table, unwilling to give up. Before he left, he didn't forget to look at Huamin and say something meaningful. "Young lady, you're ruthless." Huamin still ignored him. She didn't want to waste her breath on patients like this. Walking out of Southside Recuperation Center, Jiang Yi put on his mask and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He hadn't been kicked out by a woman in years. He was a movie superstar. How did he end up in this state? This Lady Qin wasn't normal at all. "Jie, call the next patient." "You're done already, Chief. It's almost lunch break. Why don't you continue in the afternoon?" Chen Jie's heart ached for Huamin, so she kindly reminded him. "There's still some time. I can still look at one more. Put it in." Huamin wasn't in a good mood. If Jiang Yi hadn't cut the queue and played a prank on him, he would have been in a bad mood. Perhaps she wasn't that tired. It was already hard enough for a doctor to deal with diseases, but he still had to deal with these boring patients. However, the strange thing was that Su Yu had once pretended to be a patient to see her, but she didn't have such a strong sense of disgust. She hated Jiang Yi. He was almost 40 years old, but he didn't act like a man in his 40s at all. At noon, Huamin went to the cafeteria for lunch after seeing the last patient. In the afternoon, President Wu came to Southside for an inspection. He also brought along the leaders of the Provincial Ministry of Health. As a key doctor, Huamin accompanied various leaders to inspect the environment of the South Side. Then he gave a godlike explanation. It was almost 6:30 p.m. by the time she got off work. She had unknowingly worked another hour of overtime. After taking off her white coat and changing into her clothes, she walked out of Southside to recuperate. After she got into her car, she called Qin Chu. "Honey, I'm still in a meeting. You should go home first. If you're hungry, eat first. Don't wait for me." This was Qin Chu's voicemail. He had set it up especially for her. After she hung up, she drove straight to South Hill Manor. There were a lot of maids at South Hill Manor, so Huamin rarely had the chance to cook for himself. Therefore, it was a lot less fun. Since she was in the mood today, she decided to cook a few dishes for Mr. Qin. She was going to drive to the supermarket to buy some fresh ingredients. However, she didn't expect to be rear-ended by a BMW X5 on the highway. Everyone was driving normally, and Huamin didn't slow down or stop. Even so, they were still hit. What the fuck? Huamin got out of the car. The owner of the X5 also got out of the car. It was a young woman. She had never seen this woman before, but she was very familiar with the woman beside her. It was Song Yisher. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Huamin stared at them with wide eyes. "Xianxia, look at you. How could you drive like that? You hit Miss Hua." Song Yisher gloated as she looked at the girl beside her. Chapter 1187. Are you a newbie? Why you driving like this? Even if you want to die, don't drag me down with you, okay? Huamin frowned slightly and ignored Song Yisher's mockery. Instead, he questioned the girl who was driving. Even if I hit you on purpose, so what? What right do you have to be so arrogant about stealing someone else's mistress? The girl named Xianxia seemed to be full of hostility towards Huamin. If Song Yisher wasn't here, Huamin would have thought that he ran into a mental patient. What mistress? She was so confused. This girl wasn't Song Yisher's so-called best friend. She was just Song Yisher's uncle's daughter. Her name was Song Yisher, and her father was the director of the Land Bureau, a very powerful person. Song Yisher had been studying in Australia, and now that it was almost Chinese New Year, she went home early for the holidays. As soon as she came back, she saw that her cousin was unhappy, so she asked and found out about Song Yisher's troubles. The version that Song Yisher told her cousin was like this. Song Yisher and Qin Chu met when they were 8 years old, and they loved each other since they were young. However, someone took advantage of the fact that she was studying abroad. Not only did she have Qin Chu, but she was also bullying her, so, in Song Yisher's subconscious mind, Huamin was a shameless mistress who stole her cousin's man. Xianxian, let it go. Song Yisher pretended to be a good person and pulled her sister back. What do you mean let it go? Sis, you're too kind. You can't be soft-hearted towards women like her. Huamin frowned and crossed his arms as he looked at the two girls in front of him. Nice double act, you two are drama actors, right? Huamin looked at them, amused. Drama? I'll tell you the truth, Huamin, I don't like you, so what? There are no good people in the Hua family. Hua Xiqian is a womanizer, and Hua Yanyan shamelessly seduced the young master of the Shen family. How dare you try to steal Hua Xiqian from Wei Ying? Hua Xi is even more useless. Oh, right, I heard that he's not even a part of the Hua family. His mother had an affair with another man and gave birth to him. You, on the other hand, always steal other people's lovers. You're so shameless. Anyway, there are no good people in the Hua family. Miss, please make yourself clear. How did I snatch him? My cousin has been living with the Qin family since she was 8 years old. She treats the two elders of the Qin family like her own parents. She is also in love with Qin Chu. Oh really? If that's the case, why isn't she Mrs. Qin? Huamin asked calmly. That's because you shamelessly interfered and ruined the relationship between my cousin and brother Qin Chu, okay? If they're really in love, no one can ruin it, right? That's because you're too scheming and vicious. My cousin has always been kind, of course she can't compare to you, Song Yishuan argued. Huamin glanced at Song Yisher coldly. Is this how you teach your sister? Part of what she said is true. I did know Qin Chu when I was 8 years old. Huamin smiled faintly. If that's the case, then you met him too late. Qin Chu was born on the same day as him at the hospital. That's the girl who was born on the same day as him. That's the girl who was born on the same day as Qin Chu. What's the point of you two taking up the highway and talking nonsense with me? Huamin was very logical and never lost in an argument. His words made the two women's faces turn red. Indeed, if they were talking about earlier, 8 years old was nothing. Being born at the same time was more important. You're being unreasonable. Song Yishuan yelled angrily. Xianxian, let's go, Song Yisher said. I'm sorry, but you guys can't leave right now. My car was hit by you guys. You have to give me an explanation, right? Huamin said with a smile. She wasn't that generous. Her car was hit, yet she still had to pay for it. Money wasn't a big deal, but she couldn't let this go. Chapter 1188. Don't worry, I won't go back on my word with your crappy car. Song Yishuan said shamelessly. Huamin was speechless. Crappy car? How dare she call his car crappy? An Audi R8 was many times better than a BMW X5, okay? If she drove a Bugatti Veyron, then it would be reasonable for her to say something like that. Huamin realized that the Song family was truly annoying. Don't worry, I won't scam you. The insurance company will be here in a bit, and will give you a detailed list of the compensation. You can just transfer the money when the time comes. Huamin was easy to talk to. You crashed, pay and leave. The process was simple, however, someone didn't know what to do. Song Yishuan rolled her eyes and suddenly said, I heard that you're a genius. I've never said anything like that, Yizichen said. It wasn't that Huamin was trying to be low-key, but it was true that she never said that she was a genius. That was what other people said, but that's what other people say. Song Yishuan was obviously not convinced. That's other people's business, it doesn't represent my opinion. Anyways, I heard that you're an all-rounder. You can learn things that other people take 10 years to learn in less than a year. You can learn things that other people take 5 years to learn in less than a month. Isn't that an exaggeration? What do you want? Just say it, we're all busy, and I don't have time to play word games with you. Huamin looked at his watch. He really didn't have the patience. Being around someone he didn't like was torturous. Now, whenever he saw Song Yishu, Huamin would be in a bad mood. Okay, then I'll make it simple. Do you dare to race with me? Race? Huamin was slightly surprised. Xianxia, don't, it's too dangerous. Let's go, we'll pay her back. Song Yishu seemed to be trying to stop her, but that woman had a temper. The more you tried to stop her, the more she wanted to do it. Therefore, Huamin couldn't help but suspect that Song Yishu wasn't trying to stop her. Instead, she was trying to use her cousin's personality to start a war. Yes, do you dare? Let's have a match. What's the benefit of racing with you? The benefit is that if you beat me, I'll buy you a new R8. It's only a million-yuan car. Song Yishuan's tone was arrogant. It was true that Song Yishuan could drive a sports car worth millions of yuan, but she had to keep a low profile because she was a family member of an official. She did have a lot of money, so she didn't care about this 1 million. What if I lose? Huamin asked again. If you lose, you have to apologize to my cousin in person and admit that you stole her beloved man. That's not fair. How about this? If I win, the Song sisters will have to avoid me whenever Huamin, appears. Make way for me. What do you think? Shameless. Song Yishuan was furious. Xianxia, are you confident that you can win? Song Yishu lowered her voice. Don't worry, sister. I often race when I was abroad. I'm very good at drifting. Song Yishuan was very confident. Song Yishu nodded in relief. If she lost, she would have to make way for Huamin whenever she saw him. That would be too stupid. If you agree, then we'll bet. If you don't, then forget it. Huamin made up his mind and began to discuss the stakes. We agree, but we have one more request, Song Yishuan said. What is it? We have to change the track. This is a highway and it's very dangerous to race here. There are a lot of cars. Sure, where do you want to go? Huamin asked. Akina Mountain, what do you think? Song Yishuan raised her head and asked provocatively. Huamin smiled meaningfully. Akina Mountain? That's not racing, that's suicide. That mountain was famous for being steep and the track was very crooked. Even normal drivers had to be careful. Why did this woman want to race there? So, are you really going to die? You don't want to race, do you? Huamin glanced at the Song sisters coldly. What? Are you scared? Song Yishuan raised her chin and looked up at him with her nose in the air. She looked like a scoundrel. Song Yishu, on the other hand, didn't say anything. It seemed like she wanted to use Song Yishuan to teach Huamin a lesson. After 3 seconds of silence, Huamin glanced at Song Yishu and said, Sure, but I want her to sit in the passenger seat. Upon hearing this, Song Yishu's face darkened. She had to admit that Huamin was ruthless enough to drag her into this race. Chapter 1189. It's between us. Why are you dragging my cousin into this mess? If you're scared, just say it, you coward. Song Yishuan seemed to think that her cousin was being treated unfairly. If it weren't for your cousin, why would we have this problem? So, if you can't stay out of this, then let's go together. My request is simple. If you don't agree, I won't race with you. Cousin. Song Yishuan looked at Song Yishu with a troubled expression on her face. Xianxia, forget it, we won't race. Pay her money and let's go home. Song Yishu was truly scared. Every year, countless racing enthusiasts died in car accidents at the Akina Mountain Raceway. The locals called it the Road of Death. What kind of joke was this, letting her sit in the passenger seat? She was playing with her life. This time, She really wanted Song Yishuan to back out of the race. However, this cousin of hers was great in every way, except for her stubborn temper. The more you don't want me to do something, the more I want to do the opposite. Therefore, when Song Yishuan tried to persuade her, she became even more arrogant. Don't worry, cousin, you can sit in my car, no one else will. I've been racing for 6 years, Song Yishuan promised. She was only 24 years old this year, the same age as Huamin, but she had been driving for 6 years. Needless to say, she was quite arrogant. When she was 18 years old, she got her driver's license and started drifting. Even when she was overseas, she often hung out with people from racing clubs. She definitely had no problems. Also, she observed Huamin's car for a while. Huamin didn't drive fast and was very stable. Therefore, he probably wasn't the kind of person who could drive a car. Huamin's car was an Audi R8, which was a trendy sports car. Song Yishuan's X5 was an off-road car, so she might have an advantage when it came to mountain roads. Song Yishuan thought that she had no problems with the car. She should be able to crush that Huamian in no time. That's why she was so confident in letting her cousin sit in her car. But Song Yishuan wanted to say something but was interrupted by her cousin. Don't say any more, cousin. It's settled. Don't you want revenge? I'll help you. Maybe that woman will get into a car accident and die. We won't have to do anything. Then, Brother Qin Chu won't be yours. Song Yishuan lowered her voice and whispered into Song Yishuan's ear. Song Yishuan was young, but she had a vicious heart. She had entered the race with the attitude that she would die if the car crashed. I don't think that's a good idea. Song Yishuan was in a dilemma. Although she wanted Huamin to leave Qin Chu, she never wanted her to disappear. Asking her to die. This idea was a bit scary. If Qin Chu knew about this, he definitely wouldn't let him off, right? Song Yishuan saw her cousin's concern and added, "It's an accident that she got into this accident. Cousin, don't worry, they won't blame it on us. We had a verbal agreement, who would know that we raced with her." Then, before Song Yishuan could say anything, Song Yishuan dragged her into the car. "Let's meet at the top of Akina Mountain in 15 minutes for the official race, okay?" "Okay." Huamin nodded. Then, both parties drove to Akina Mountain. The back of Huamin's car wasn't seriously damaged. It was supposed to be a small accident, and they could just pay for it. However, Song Yishuan didn't let it go and insisted on racing. Huamin obviously knew what they were thinking. Since she agreed to the race, she was confident. She had been following the rules and driving slowly all these years. In fact, she wanted to indulge in drifting for a while. Plus, if she won, Song Yishuan would avoid her whenever she saw her in the future. What a great decision. That was why she made such a daring decision. The race at Akina Mountain was decided with a single thought. Inside GK's office, Qin Chu's left eyelid began to twitch. Every time something like this happened, it was always when Huamin got into trouble. He picked up his phone and dialed a familiar number. "Honey?" Huamin felt guilty and immediately called out sweetly. Qin Chu felt like something was wrong. One who was unaccountably solicitous was hiding evil intentions. "Honey, where are you?" Chapter 1190. I'm on my way home. Huamin answered cheerfully. Really? Qin Chu was obviously suspicious. Of course. You're not home yet? Qin Chu looked at his watch and felt that it was a bit late. Not yet? I actually want to buy groceries and cook for myself. Is your chef's cooking not good enough? Are you sick of it? Do you want to hire a few more chefs? Qin Chu knew that Huamin had always loved cooking, so he suggested. No, it's good enough. Ever since we moved to South Hill Manor, I've gained more than 1.5 kilograms. This was true. Huamin used to weigh only 94 kilograms, but now she was more than 97 kilograms. She was only 1.5 kilograms away from breaking 100 kilograms. People always said that beauties were less than 100 kilograms. If she continued to grow like this, she probably wouldn't be able to be called a beauty for the rest of her life. You're still skinny. Eat more and gain another 5 kilograms. Qin Chu gave her a target. Damn it, just package me like a pig. Huamin protested. However, her protest was futile. Honey, it's cold outside. Come home early, I'll be back as soon as I'm done. Qin Chu was still worried. Okay, honey, I'll wait for you at home, Huamin answered guiltily. Then, she hung up the phone. Qin Chu raised his hand to touch his left eyelid, but it was still twitching. Is there anything else important later? Qin Chu looked at Yang and asked. He thought that if there wasn't anything important, he would go home early. Although Huamin agreed, he still didn't feel at ease. Sir, we're having dinner with President Liu of Wanhe tonight. We're going to talk about the water village project that our two companies are developing together. Qin Chu didn't say anything. The water village project took about 1.5 years to come up with a preliminary plan. The two companies would each invest 10 billion yuan to develop Sea City's tourism industry. The government gave them a piece of land by the sea for free, so that these entrepreneurs could drive the local economy. Although Sea City was a small city that wasn't well known in the country right now, the per capita income and consumption wasn't low. This place was also full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. At present, the top entertainment companies in the country were here. The headquarters of the largest private bank, Su Family Bank, was also here. The most famous conglomerate in Asia, GK, was here as well. Therefore, Qin Chu was also optimistic about the tourism industry in the city and planned to develop it well. It could be considered as a contribution to his hometown. Since he was going to have dinner with President Liu that night, Qin Chu didn't want to postpone or cancel it, so he gave up on the idea of going home early to supervise Huamin. Therefore, then, Huamian would have the capital to cause trouble again. At the top of the Akina mountain track, 2 cars were parked side by side on the track. This was not a tourist attraction, and the roads were not good, so there were very few people and cars. Occasionally, a few cars could be seen, but they were all racing enthusiasts who drove them for fun. Huamin gripped the steering wheel tightly. He only had one goal today. He had to win. Paying for her R8 in full was a small matter, but the Song sisters had to stay away from her in the future. This was a big deal. In order to stop the flies and mosquitoes from harassing him, Huamin decided he was going to give it his all. Before this, she had something to announce to everyone, and that was she had never raced before. Inside the other BMW X5, Song Yishuan looked at Song Yisher, who was sitting beside her. Sis, are you done investigating? Yeah, I found it. Song Yisher kept scrolling through her phone and sending WeChat messages. What's going on? What did they say? Hurry up and tell me. Song Yishuan was eager to try. She had been looking forward to the thrill of racing, so she couldn't wait any longer. Chapter 1191. It's true that Huamin has never raced before. The Department of Transportation doesn't even have a record of her breaking the rules. At most, she'll run a few red lights. Look at the video that they sent over. Her driving skills are average, and she doesn't have much skill. Song Yisher read some information that one of her acquaintances sent over. The sisters wanted to study Huamian thoroughly. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you'll win every battle. Then that's easy. Just wait and see, I'll make sure she dies a horrible death, Song Yishuan said viciously. Then she rolled down the window and gestured. Huamin rolled down the window as well. Let's compare our watches. Mine is 6:58 p.m. Huamin nodded. Once it's 7 o'clock p.m., we'll start. Whoever gets to the sign at the foot of the mountain first wins. Okay. Huamin continued to nod. If someone surrenders, breaks down, or gets into an accident, the other party won't be responsible for it. Sure. To be fair, we both have to record a short video. Song Yishuan's request was actually made by Song Yisher. She was afraid that if something happened to Huamin, she would be implicated, so she came up with this idea. Is it really that troublesome? Huamin was a little helpless. Of course it's necessary. If something happens to you, do you want us to be responsible? You're right. If something happens to you guys, then I'll be implicated as well. That's a good idea. Huamin nodded and took out his phone. Both parties had to sign a letter of guarantee to ensure that nothing would go wrong. Oh no, it's too late. Let's start at 7:03 p.m., Song Yishuan said. Huamin nodded again. indicating that he had no objections. Then, the two of them rolled up their windows. They quietly looked at their watches. As soon as it was 7:03, the two cars rushed over at high speed. Because they were both luxury cars that cost more than 1,000,000 yuan, their starting speed was quite impressive. It was Huamin's first time running the Akina mountain track, so he was at a disadvantage because he didn't know the terrain well. Song Yishuan, on the other hand, had an advantage. Every year when she returned to China, she would come here to play with her friends. Therefore, they were very familiar with each other. In this way, after running for less than 5 minutes, the distance between them had widened. Huamin was left in the dust by a good 5 meters. The mountain road was very winding. On one side was a steep mountain wall, and on the other side was a very high cliff. Usually, drivers would be very careful on such roads. And these two women were really drunk to be racing on such a mountain road. Song Yishuan did have 2 boys and they were good at driving. However, Song Yisher, who was sitting in the passenger seat, was scared witless. Xianxia, slow down, sis, don't be silly. If I drive slower and that Hua guy catches up with me, won't I lose? Song Yishuan obviously didn't listen to Song Yisher and continued. Occasionally, she would drift, and it was a very exciting scene. Huamin wasn't in a hurry because he knew that this road was very bad. The fastest they could finish was 12 minutes. It had only been 5 minutes, so there was no need to rush. As the saying goes, the one who laughs last laughs best. Therefore, she didn't work on her speed from the start. Even though she was left behind, she wasn't in a hurry. She just drove steadily. Song Yishuan looked in the rearview mirror and smiled proudly. Sis, to be honest, we're definitely going to win this time. It's hard to say, there's still time. Song Yisher didn't dare to let down her guard. Don't worry, watch me. Song Yishuan said as she continued to speed up, as if she wanted to widen the distance between her and Huamin. Chapter 1192. First, she observed Song Yishuan's strategy. Her strategy was simple, she just drifted and raced. When she made a turn, she drifted so much that the tires squeaked. After a while, Huamin realized that although the mountain road was steep, it was very regular. Every minute or so, there would be a big turn. Therefore, as long as she made a perfect turn, she would be able to catch up to Song Yishuan in a matter of minutes. Then Huamin stepped on the gas pedal, her beloved Audi sped out, extremely nimble. She counted in her heart for 60 seconds and then made a beautiful turn. It wasn't a drift, but a very natural turn. It was even more perfect than Song Yishuan's showy maneuver. Just like that, after 3 minutes and 3 turns, Huamin caught up. When they caught up, Huamin stepped on the gas pedal again, and the car sped forward like it was flying. Song Yishuan was suddenly thrown more than 3 meters away by Huamin. What the? No way? That woman is so fast, she caught up so quickly. No way, this doesn't make sense. Song Yishuan was dumbfounded. Don't underestimate her, she's very smart. I think she found a trick. Song Yisher said with hostility as she tightly held onto her seatbelt. It's okay, even so, I have a way to deal with her. Then, Song Yishuan sped up and followed closely behind Huamin's car. Then with a bang, she crashed into the back of Huamin's car. Huamin's car jerked forward. Xianxia, we all have driving cameras now, why are you doing this? Song Yisher's eyes widened. She always thought that she was cruel, but she didn't expect her cousin to be even more cruel. She couldn't beat Song Yishuan, so she crashed into the back of Song Yishuan's car. At this speed, the car in front of Song Yishuan could easily flip over if they collided. I already said that you don't know anything about cars. When the time comes, I'll smash the dashcam and no one will know. Besides, we all have our own recordings in our phones. Didn't you say that the competition is voluntary? What does her accident have to do with me? Besides, even if someone really did find us, do you think my father and your father's power isn't enough to deal with it? You're making a fuss over nothing. Song Yishuan was used to being bossy since she was young, so she didn't think that this was a problem. Huamin was in a bad mood after she bumped into him. How dare this woman play dirty with me? Huamin gritted his teeth and cursed. Huamin should have known that they would be so despicable. He steeled his heart and continued to speed up. Song Yishuan followed closely behind her and refused to let up. It seemed like she wanted to continue bumping into her. And Huamin would not give her the chance. With such a fast speed, if she bumped into him when he turned a corner, he would fall off the cliff. That would cost him his life. Therefore, Huamin was still moving left and right as he accelerated. His reaction was extremely fast. Song Yishuan wanted to bump into him, but she didn't have the chance to do so. Song Yishuan gripped the steering wheel tightly. Not bad, that woman is very smart. She used this trick to avoid me. I told you she wasn't easy to deal with. You're too reckless. Yishuan. Song Yishuan sounded like she was complaining. Don't worry, I've been racing for so many years. I won't lose to a newbie. Cousin, hold on tight. I'm going to give her a fatal blow. Then, Song Yishuan began to make a sharp turn and drift. Song Yishuan was so scared that she covered her eyes with her hands and didn't dare to look. She actually regretted it. She wanted her cousin to bully Huamin, but she didn't think that she would be dragged into this. The person sitting in the front passenger seat was basically putting her life in someone else's hands. This wasn't racing, this was risking her life. Chapter 1193. The wheels squealed again, and several times, Song Yishuan felt like the car was going to fall off the cliff. In the end, she was so scared that she closed her eyes. After a few more tries, Song Yishuan finally caught up to Huamin. Huamin, on the other hand, was pushed to the outside by her dirty tricks while she was on the inside. One was on the inside while the other was on the outside. Obviously, the person on the outside was at a disadvantage. At this moment, Song Yishuan smiled sinisterly. Then, she suddenly turned the steering wheel and headed towards Huamin's direction. Her goal was obvious. She wanted to knock Huamin off the edge of the cliff. The road was so narrow, and she had no doubt used all of her strength to force the car open. Xianxia. Song Yishuan saw through her intentions and was so scared that her face turned pale. If she really knocked Huamin off the cliff and died, the two sisters would be indirectly murdered. Song Yishuan's car was about to crash into Huamin's R8. Huamin suddenly slammed on the brakes. The brakes of $1 million luxury car were extremely flexible. She slammed on the brakes and the car suddenly stopped. However, Song Yishuan's car was still running. Therefore, when she crashed into Huamin, she was faster than him and fell off the cliff. Two deafening screams were heard. They came from Song Yishuan's BMW X5. Song Yishuan originally wanted to kill Huamin, but she failed and fell off the cliff. She deserved it. After Huamin stopped the car, he immediately opened the door and got out. He looked around and realized that the cliff wasn't very high. The most dangerous part was over, and there was a 3-meter deep ditch below. The trees were dense, so the BMW X5 fell off the cliff and into the ditch. There were even tree trunks around it. It wasn't a big problem. After hesitating for 5 seconds, Huamin took out his phone and called 120. 20 minutes later, the 120 came and carried the injured Song sisters away. Damn it, the 110 came as well. Song Yishuan, who was stuck in the car, was scared and called many times for help. She never thought that Huamin would call for help. The funniest part was that when she called 110, she purposely said that her car was hit and that Huamin wanted to murder her. After her explanation, Huamin couldn't clear his name. Therefore, he was brought back to the municipal bureau. Why are you here again? In the municipal bureau station, Gao ran and looked at Huamin, speechless. He couldn't even remember how many times Huamin had been sent to the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Hua to Hua's Huamin? Mean Huamin? Huamin S's. What's going on? Why are you here this time? Gao Ran just came back from a case, so he didn't know that Huamin was racing with the Song sisters. Racing? Huamin calmly answered. Gao Ran spat out a mouthful of tea. Luckily, Huamin reacted quickly. He lowered his head, and the tea splashed onto the face of the young policeman behind him. Captain Gao, you don't have any more tea, right? I'll get you some more. Not only was the young policeman not angry, he even tried to suck up to Gao Ran and poured more tea for him. This made it easier for the two of them to talk. Racing? Are you okay? When did you start racing? Does Mr. Qin know? Huamin shook his head. If he knew, he would kill you for sure. Kill you is the right thing to do. If Zhu Lingling did that, I would kill her too. Don't you know that racing is risking your life? Gao Ran was speechless. Qin Chu was worried sick that he had such a troublesome wife like Huamin. I was also provoked. Anyways, it's not my fault, Huamin said confidently. Really? If it's not your fault, then fine. I'll call Mr. Qin right now and ask him to bail you out. Then, Gao Ran took out his phone and pretended to make a call. Chapter 1194. Hey Gao Ran, let's talk this out. Huamin immediately grabbed Gao Ran's hand. She had made up her mind that there was no way she would let Qin Chu bail her out. She would rather be detained for 24 hours. Can't we talk this out? This is a big deal, Qin Chu has to know about it. But I can't let him bail me out now. I'll just buy some time. Huamin had made up her mind not to let Qin Chu bail her out. Every time Qin Chu bailed her out, he would beat her up for half a day. That atmosphere was truly terrifying. But, no buts. Anyways, if you dare to call Qin Chu, I'll tell Lingling that I saw you having dinner with Lin Xuejiao. Fuck, is that even possible? Gao Ran was speechless. If you don't believe me, you can try. Let's see who she believes. Huamin smirked. Even if Huamin framed her, Zhu Lingling would definitely believe it. The problem was the two sisters were very close. Gao Ran thought about the pros and cons and decided that he couldn't take the risk of calling Qin Chu. So here was the problem. You're in such a serious situation this time. If Qin Chu doesn't bail you out, who are you going to bail you out? Gao Ran asked in all seriousness. The truth was, as a member of the Municipal Public Security Bureau, especially the captain, he wasn't allowed to bail people out. To avoid suspicion, Gao Ran never bailed people out. However, if Huamin wanted to, he could make an exception. Can I ask Lingling to bail me out? Huamin asked. She's on the plane? Gao Ran replied. Okay, I'll call Xiaowei. 20 minutes later, Jiang Xiaowei arrived at the Municipal Public Security Bureau in a Mercedes-Benz RV. Ever since she got pregnant, she basically drove a Mercedes-Benz every time she went out because she was afraid that she would be too tired. Therefore, the Wei family hired a very good chauffeur. Girl, I'm here. Jiang Xiaowei walked in with a branded handbag. She was wearing a long black cotton coat, so her belly was not that obvious. Slightly. Thank you for your hard work. Huamin gave Jiang Xiaowei an affectionate hug. Shoo shoo shoo. Why are you being so courteous with me? Seriously? Then, Jiang Xiaowei looked at Gao Ran. Sergeant Gao, am I qualified? Bail me on out? Dr. Jiang, this way please. Gao Ran didn't know whether to laugh or cry. One Huamin was enough of a headache, and now there was another Jiang Xiaowei. Seriously, if he didn't let her go, the two of them would probably overturn the city police station. Before leaving, Huamin suddenly asked, any news from the hospital? How are the Song sisters? Apparently, Song Yishuan's injuries are superficial, but Song Yisher's injuries are more serious. Apparently, her nose is caved in. She needs plastic surgery because she was sitting in the passenger seat. Huamin didn't know what to say. She wasn't the type to gloat over other people's misfortunes. He didn't sympathize with Song Yisher because no one could sympathize with someone like her. Anyone with common sense would know that the moment a car accident happened, the driver would instinctively protect himself. Therefore, the unlucky ones were usually the ones sitting in the passenger seat. It seemed like Song Yisher was seriously injured this time. Then what do they want? Are they still going to sue me? Huamin thought that if the Song sisters continued to make unreasonable accusations against her, then she was going to release the video to the public. It was the video that was recorded before the race. This was originally a video that Song Yishuan saved to hurt Huamin, but now it became the evidence that Huamin used to clear her name. Needless to say, it was very good. No, the Song family probably didn't want to make a big deal out of it, so they withdrew the lawsuit. They'll pay for the medical expenses themselves. That's right. Those two bitches went for wool and came home shorn. They wanted to hurt me on. but they got the short end of the stick. I only want to say 7 words. Jiang Shaowei said, feeling better. What's 7 words? Gao Ran looked confused. Chapter 1195. Serves you right, you're so unlucky. Gao Ran, Huamin, huh? That's a good point. Let's go, Mrs. Qin, treat me to a big meal. Then, Jiang Shaowei put her arm around Huamin's shoulder and the two of them walked out of the Municipal Public Security Bureau intimately. Because Huamin's car was damaged, he had to be towed to a 4S store. They got into Shaowei's Mercedes-Benz. Shaowei, what do you want to eat? How about a roasted lamb leg? Jiang Shaowei asked with a smile. That's exactly what I wanted. I've been preparing for a few days now. If Mr. Qin wasn't so busy, we would have gone already. Let's go for lamb leg, let's go. Then, the chauffeur drove them to a big Mongolian hotel in the city center. It was called the Grassland Family. The hotel was in the shape of a yurt. It was beautiful and luxurious. The owner was a Mongolian, a fierce Mongolian man. The sheep were all from the grassland, and business was booming. The two of them went straight into a luxurious yurt. They ordered a 4-pound roasted lamb leg, as well as many side dishes and meat skewers. Wouldn't it be a waste if it's just the two of us? How about we call our family members? Jiang Shaowei suggested. You call your family, I'll pass, huh? I'm still in shock after such a big accident. I'm scared that if Mr. Qin finds out, I'll be dead meat. Okay, I'll call Wei Liao to come. No problem, you two can eat as much as you want, it's my treat, Huamin said with a lofty look on his face. Jiang Shaowei immediately took out her phone and called Wei Liao. She didn't say that Huamin was treating, she just said that she was having roasted lamb leg. Wei Liao, Su Yu, and Tang Chuan were playing billiards and hadn't eaten yet. When they heard that Huamian had ordered a roasted lamb leg, they were all shocked. When they heard that Huamian had roasted lamb leg, the three of them were very interested. Hence, the three of them drove to the hotel in 3 sports cars that attracted a lot of attention. When they entered the yurt, Su Yu saw that Huamin was there. Oh, Dr. Hua, you're here too? Tang Chuan had always loved to joke around, so when he saw Huamin, he immediately put on a cheeky smile. Yeah, so be careful with your words. You might be in danger of being exposed. Huamin replied humorously. Slightly, you didn't say Mian was here, huh? Wei Liao was a bit embarrassed. You're blaming me? You didn't say that all 3 of you would come? Jiang Shaowei was also dumbfounded. This couple is amazing, it's fine. It's good that you're here. Let's eat together. Huamin tried to smooth things over. Oh yeah, it's Mian's treat today. Eat whatever you want, huh? Thank you, Dr. Hua, then I won't hold back. Ha, let's start with a bottle of the most expensive wine. Tang Chuan was the one who shouted. Huamin was immediately speechless. You're a professional scammer. Su Yu slapped the back of Tang Chuan's neck. Tang Chuan grimaced. Ha, it's fine. If we exceed our budget, we have you, the super rich guy, right? We have nothing to be afraid of. Tang Chuan made up his mind. If Su Yu was here, then no one else would have to pay the bill. This was the benefit of having a super rich friend. What's so good that you're treating us to dinner? Wei Liao was smarter, so he looked at Huamin and asked a key question. I was detained by the police, and then your family slightly bailed me out. Is that a good thing? Huamin smiled. Wei Liao, Tang Chuan, Su Yu was the first to react. He looked at Huamin worriedly and asked, why did you go in? Did you get into a fight again? Note that Su Yu used the word, again. It seemed like Huamin had become an indelible tomboy in Su Yu's heart. Chapter 1196. Drag Racing. Huamin whispered, feeling a little guilty. Tang Chuan was holding a teacup and drinking the yurt's specialty milk tea. He almost spat it out. Oh my god, drag racing? Tang Chuan yelled in shock. Wei Liao, Su Yu, it's true, I can testify. Jiang Shaowei immediately raised her hand to testify when she saw how shocked everyone was. Drag racing alone isn't enough to detain you. At most, you'll be fined. Lord Su was the most knowledgeable. Huamin lowered his head even more. I was drag racing with Song Yishuan. Song Yishuan, the precious daughter of the director of the Land Bureau? Tang Chuan asked. Huamin nodded. Song Yisher was sitting in the front passenger seat. Huamin continued. We're not going to race, we're going to get revenge, right? Wei Liao interrupted. Su Yu, on the other hand, was very calm. However, Huamin's last sentence almost made Su Yu jump. She said, then, we had a race at the Akina Mountain racetrack. Tang Chuan, Akina Mountain? Road of Death. Wei Liao, heroine, I admire you immensely. Do you want to die? Su Yu stared at Huamin and yelled angrily. He hadn't gotten angry at Huamin for a long time. Jiang Xiaowei couldn't stay calm when she saw Su Yu's expression. What's going on? What's wrong with the Akina Mountain racetrack? Why do all of you have such weird expressions? Jiang Xiaowei didn't like to study racing, so she didn't know what kind of racetrack Akina Mountain racetrack was. When she went to bail him out, she only knew that Huamin and the Song sisters raced, but she didn't ask for details. Before anyone else could speak, Wei Liao explained, the Akina Mountain racetrack is known as the Road of Death for racers. It's one of the 3 most difficult racetracks in China. The terrain is extremely complicated with lots of turns and steep cliffs, so a lot of people get into accidents while racing. Every year, a lot of people die. That racetrack has been banned by official racetracks for years. Only those who like to race cars would go there, but if you're not good, you can't win, you can't finish. Of course, we didn't go there once, 5 years. It's not only was it rain, we almost flipped it. It's also cliffs and cliffs. But if yours not, it's it of it, of course. After Wei Liao finished speaking, Jiang Xiaowei fell silent. What kind of race did Huamin and the Song sisters just go through? Seeing that Huamin didn't say anything, Su Yu asked with a cold expression, you think you're a good driver? No, Huamin replied. Then you think you're lucky? Not really, just one, Huamin continued to answer honestly. Then you think it's exciting? No, it's not. My heart almost stopped. Huamin continued to answer questions. So, the result of your race with the Song sisters was? Song Yishuan bumped into me when she was turning a corner. Then I slammed on the brakes, and the 2 of them flipped over. Then I called 120. Huamin confessed everything like a criminal. Tang Chuan and Wei Liao worshipped her like she was a god. Goddess Hua, please accept a bow from your little brother. Tang Chuan put his hands together and laughed. She was really fast when she was turning. You shouldn't have been able to react in time when she suddenly bumped into you. How did you stop in time? That's amazing. How did you do it? Wei Liao was a very meticulous person, and he always paid attention to details. Chapter 1197. I actually didn't react in time. I guessed that she would hit me at this point, so I was prepared to step on the brakes. But how did you know she was going to hit you here? Wei Liao looked surprised. Because we were parallel, and it was also the last big turn of the track. If she didn't hit me at that point, she probably wouldn't have had a chance. But it's not like the Song sisters to not use some tricks, so, Huamin didn't finish his sentence, but everyone knew what he wanted to say. Mian, didn't you say that you weren't familiar with that track? How did you know it was the last big turn? Jiang Xiaowei asked carefully. I really wasn't familiar with it, I just memorized it when I was driving up the mountain. Wei Liao, Tang Chuan, Jiang Xiaowei, Huamin memorized all the turns of the Akina Mountain racetrack and even knew which one was the biggest one? This abnormal memory. Was it really that heaven-defying? So you think you're awesome and proud? Su Yu's face was as dark as it could get. Even Wei Liao and Tang Chuan hadn't seen Su Yu this angry in a long time. It was like the sign of a storm. I'm proud, I just feel good because I won the bet, Huamin answered in a small voice. You still had a bet? What bet? Tell us. Tang Chuan loved to gossip, so he immediately started asking questions. Didn't Song Yishuan rear-end my car on the highway? She said that if I dared to race with her, she would pay me the full price of my Audi R8. It was like buying a new one. You raced for a $1 million car? Is your life that worthless? Su Yu roared angrily. This was also the reason why he was the most angry. He was really scared. Fortunately, it was the Song sisters who were in trouble. What if something happened to Huamin? What was he supposed to do? 1 million is just a small matter. The important thing is that if I win, they promised me that whenever I appear in public in the future, they'll make way for me. You know, I really don't like Song Yisher, and I also hate her cousin whom I met for the first time this year. So, I think I can give it a try. Huamin said calmly, but what if you lose? Wei Liao was a little scared. I won't lose. Huamin said proudly. His Tsundra index had surpassed Qin Chu's. But I heard that Song Yishuan really started out as a racer. You sure have guts. You're a newbie, yet you chose to race against an experienced racer at a place like Akina Mountain. Pure gut? Other than you, I'll never respect anyone else in my life. Tang Chuan gave Huamin a thumbs up. This time, he wasn't teasing him. He truly admired Huamin. Brains and driving skills were only a part of it. What he admired the most was Huamin's courage. Normally, girls would tremble at the sight of roads like Akina Mountain. They wouldn't even dare to drive normally, let alone race. Does Qin Chu know what you're doing? Su Yu asked coldly. No, I don't want him to know. He'll skin me alive. Huamin bit down on her lips, looking dazed. Good, then I'll call Qin Chu right now. Su Yu was infuriated. He stood up and took out his phone to call Qin Chu. He didn't have the right to discipline Huamin, but Qin Chu did. Chapter 1198. With Huamin's impudent personality, it was impossible for him not to teach it a lesson. Don't call me, let's talk nicely. Mr. Warrior. Huamin snatched Su Yu's phone away. She looked like a little girl. Su Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You're scared? What were you thinking when you were racing? Are you out of your mind? Su Yu cursed angrily. I just wanted to torture the Song sisters. Is it worth it for those 2 pieces of trash? Su Yu asked angrily. Before Huamin could answer, he suddenly heard a familiar voice from his phone. Hello? Su Yu dialed the number, but he didn't make the call. Huamin, on the other hand, dialed the number. So, the voice that came from Su Yu's phone in Huamin's hand was Qin Chu's? She was scared out of her wits when she thought of this. Huamin immediately made a shushing gesture to the others. Then, he handed the phone to Su Yu. Su Yu was a little nervous. He only wanted to scare Huamin and didn't really plan on calling Qin Chu. However, he accidentally dialed the number. Hello? What do you want from me? Su Yu took the phone and asked awkwardly. You're calling me, and you're asking me what I want from you? Qin Chu was speechless. Although he didn't talk to Su Yu on the phone, Su Yu's phone number wasn't a secret in their circle. Qin Chu immediately knew who was on the other end of the line. Ahem. I actually didn't want to talk to you about anything, I just wanted to ask if you ate yet. Do you think we can just chat casually with someone like you? Are you crazy? Mr. Qin said calmly. You're right, that's all then. Bye. Then, before Qin Chu could say anything, Su Yu immediately hung up. Beside them, Huamian finally let out a sigh of relief. It was a good thing that this annoying person didn't tell Mr. Qin, or else he would have been taught a lesson. Just then, the waiter brought over a lamb leg that was sizzling with oil. Immediately, the aroma of food filled the air. You guys eat first, I'm going to leave, huh? Huamian was still worried and decided to leave first. But you haven't eaten yet? Jiang Shaowei didn't want him to leave. We'll eat another day. Huh, today's expenses are on me. It's my treat. Everyone enjoy yourselves. Then, before the others could react, Huamin's picked up his bag, left. Mean was wuss. He was so fast. What's going on? The person who's treating us ran away. Tang Chuan laughed. She's probably afraid that Qin Chu will find out what happened today. Qin Chu is very worried about Huamin. If he finds out that she went racing at Akina Mountain, the consequences won't be good. Jiang Shaowei said slowly as she held a pair of chopsticks in her mouth. Huamin is a smart girl. She looks like a good girl, but she's actually a troublemaker, Tang Chuan commented. A troublemaker needs to be strong. I heard that the two girls from the Song family were scared out of their wits. Luckily, they were lucky. When they flipped over, the ditch was only about 3 meters deep. If it was anywhere else, they would have been smashed into pieces. Jiang Xiaowei gloated. Huamin left the restaurant and called a cab to go home. Sure enough, less than 5 minutes after she got home, Qin Chu came home. She quickly changed into her pajamas and pretended that she had just woken up. Honey, you're back? Have you eaten? What do you want to eat? I'll make it for you. Qin Chu looked up, glanced at Huamian, and asked faintly, Did you do something wrong to me again? You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.